So everybody, welcome to Suga Friendz Podcast live. We're here with Daggz. Daggz, how you been? How's your week been?
Blessed
How's
to
your
be
day?
here. You know what I'm saying? I thought I wasn't gonna make it because I was getting sick, but today is a new day and I'm good. So I'm happy to be here with you. How are you? I know it's the first episode back. How you feeling?
Yeah, I'm good. I feel like I've been hearing like a lot of people lately saying that they're like under the weather, like getting sick, and so I'm glad you came out of that because I've been staying away from people because I do not want to be sick.
That's how you gotta be. I'm in the same boat. I don't even go around people. I get it from my kids. So it's like
Oh yeah, if you have kids, that is like the number one like culprit of like if you're a parent like and you're sick, 9 times out of 10 your baby brought it home from like daycare or school or whatever. So you're definitely true about that. So I'm glad you had a good week. So for people who are joining, I just said a minute ago, but this is the Suga and Friends Podcast live. So basically this podcast is essentially for interviewing artists. It could be any type of artist, but I think typically I have facts, kids are petri dishes. That's so true. The germs are like there. But yes, this is a interviewing podcast / just have a good time and chill out. But I interview musical artists. I was saying typically they're rappers, right? Hip hop artists. Although I'm open to interviewing anyone who's an artist. Basically, the gist is just to have a good time and have meaningful conversations with typically rising artists. So like underground or people who are on the rise in their talent. So tonight, we are here with none other than Daggz.
Thank you for having me, yo. I'm so hyped to be yo. Like you have no idea. This is like it's like a rebirth for me. So I've done these before, but now it's been a little bit of time in between the last one I did. So it's like this is dope.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to have you back, and I'm glad that you chose me to bring back the interviewing or your entrance back into hip hop. Let's start with your name because I've known you for like a couple months now, and I still don't know why your name is Daggz.
It goes back to being a kid and wanting to rap and not knowing who to become. I had a gang of names before Daggz, but the Daggz is a derivative of what used to be Daggers. So I dropped the ER because it's just to keep it short. And I mean, I felt like I always had to throw these punchlines in battles that made me bigger than the gun, so I got tired of doing that and ended up just throwing it to Daggz. What's up, Shay? So it's just a abbreviation for what used to be my name, but I still operate under that handle. So that's all it is.
Okay, dope. Cause I was like, I've been knowing him for like months now, and I love asking artists why their names are what they are. Sometimes they're like long, drawn out stories or like representation or like metaphors, and sometimes just like what you just said, it was something else, and then I shortened it, and this is what it is now. I noticed on your new release, so your tape that just released, GS4, it's your artist name is Daggz.gr.
I threw the GR on there because of the paperwork. And, somebody already had Daggz. I didn't want them lumping their shit into my shit. So they not that the dude Daggz is a bad dude. He just ain't doing what I'm doing. So I just threw the GR on there for Grind Right. That's the label I'm under.
I was just about to say because I know Grind Right is like a part of your like slogan thing.
That's me. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Honestly, I like that. I like the inclusion of like the little slogan things so that way people identify Daggz with Grind Right.
You just throw the Daggz and you get like we know who you
are. Right. Exactly. Okay, so you're Daggz. So Daggz, where are you from?
Everywhere and nowhere at the same time. So if I gotta start, I was born in Portsmouth, Virginia, which is military oriented and also the hood. So I love that place, man, because that's where I started everything. My parents are from the island. My mother's Puerto Rican. I spent a little time in Puerto Rico. I spent a little time in Jamaica. I got mad family in New York. I spent some time in New York. Been in Florida, been in California, so just all over the place and nowhere at the same time. But absorbing all of those cultures and putting those things together and bringing that to you, as one. So when you hear me rapping and stuff, you might get the up north guy body, you might get a little VA twang on that, and then you might, I just absorb everything. I'm just wherever I'm at, that's who I am, and I bring everything that I brought with me. So it's like I'm always picking up stuff.
Mm-hmm. It's so funny because like my parents moved around a lot when I was younger too, so I always say too, like everywhere and nowhere. But although I'm from the South primarily, but it's so funny because Virginia is such a hard place to guess like where somebody is from. Like, how often do you hear like you ask somebody like, "Where are you from?" You're like, "Oh, I can see you're from Virginia because of so and so," but it's so hard to guess.
For me, you're from Virginia. Realizing someone is from Virginia is how they talk. So I'm not your typical Virginia sound. Like we sound like everywhere, but the area that I'm from is a little more southerly. They have an accent. They use certain terms and things like that. So if I can hear something and I pick it up right away, I mean, that fool from Virginia, I already know. Like, I already know who he is. So that's you could just overhear stuff. You can overhear people talking and say, "Oh, you wellin'," or you doing this and doing this. I feel like all of those kinds of little terms and these little lingos that we have down in Virginia, they stick out a little bit, and the way that they use the accent and the southerly accent. Nick, what's up, baby? It's just having that a part of you is a thing, and then, like just listening to cats like Pusha T and cats that rep the cities that we from, because there's 7 of those cities. I'm sure the other guys from VA have told you. We get a whole bunch of different sounds and different artists, so it's hard to tell. You're absolutely right. You can never just right away tell, but for the people that live there, they know what city you from. They know, how long it takes to get there from the city they in. It's the same thing. They know, that dude from Norfolk. I know how that sounds. Or I know that dude's from Portsmouth or wherever, Chesapeake, the beach. So it just depends. I grew up in Chesapeake, born in Portsmouth. Spent a lot of time in Chesapeake. I got family in Bad News. So it's just all over. Everybody's everywhere.
Dope. So you're Daggz from Virginia, although you grew up in multiple places. So did you start rapping in Virginia? Like, is that where you can kind of like claim your? Okay, so you started rapping in Virginia. So being in Virginia and you started rapping, you can say that shaped some of your influence.
It's just like, I like to tell people that don't know about it. It's really a gold mine for different kinds of talent. It's there's a lot of artists, of course. We talk about Something in the Water. We talk about Pharrell. We talk about Timmy. We talk about, Pusha T. We talk about the Clips. There's a lot of guys. Even some of the DJs are really legendary. Mad Skills. There's a lot of people out there. And as that gold mine, it just increases. Even the athletes, the Mike Vicks, the AIs, all these guys that come from these places, man. And I know I left a ton of people. I miss just tons of people like that I left out. But it's just a gold mine for talent. And like you said, you wouldn't know if they was from there if they didn't tell you, one way or the other.
Yeah, that's so interesting, and it's so true because, like, you've named some of the big names, like Pharrell, you've named Pusha T, like, unless it's those guys, you wouldn't know, like, a whole bunch of people who are there and, like, are talented, and that's sort of, like, my vibe with this podcast, right, is finding people from, like, all over, the United States or even internationally who are, may not be as known, but are on the grind and are on the rise in their own respective regions and places too. So when I was researching and like prepping for this podcast, I was like, who is Daggz? So my purpose is to like find things about you and find certain things. And so I was looking through music is where I go first. And so obviously I go straight to SoundCloud. There's a lot of people in that era. There are a lot of platforms, I'm sure even before SoundCloud that you were on, but like you can't really access those anymore. So it's like my only option in this modern time is like SoundCloud. But even then I was on there and I was looking, I'm like, you have music from like 8 and 10 years ago. Like you you've been doing this for
I've been
over a
doing
decade.
On God, it's really been about 20. Like, it's crazy, and I know that show my age a little bit,
Like,
but
that's just what I can find.
Yeah, I've been doing this since for a long time, man, and I'm just glad that I've been able to do that. Nah, a lie, I haven't been doing it that long. I took time away, and I hated it when I did it because like I'm walking around with the dope fiend is trying to find a microphone, But I've been capable for 20 years and then acting on it for as long as I can. It's a part of my life. I'm always waiting on new drops. I'm always waiting on, who's the hot guy right now? Who do I like more than anybody else? Like, I'm always looking for rap, and I'm always on top of rap. So I'm just blessed to have a group of contemporaries that are dope at what they do as well, and that are able to help keep me in the loop even when I wasn't doing it.
Okay. So tell me a little bit more about Daggz. Like, when did you start rapping for real? Like, the specific story, because like I'm interested. You know how some people like maybe they played the drums in church and that's how they got into music. They played an instrument, or like for instance, for me, how I got into music, like rap or blues and whatever, was my mom. She was a music head, right? So she played records like all the time in the house. And so now I'm sitting here with you on Suga Friendz Podcast, and I'm interviewing, musical artists. So like, how specifically did you get into music
with the Australian flute? This is how it goes. This is the Australian. No, I'm kidding. Y'all. I'm joking. For real, rap for me. My dad was a DJ, and he used to DJ parties and house parties while he was in the military. So like, I was the kid that was always kind of like digging at the vinyls and pulling stuff out. He had this entertainment center that he had everything. He had his 1200s and all this other stuff. So my dad started it, but that ain't where I kind of picked it up at. It was kind of this is my thing. Don't touch my shit. Like, and I was like, but this is the coolest shit I ever seen, And I don't think he understood it then. But got my ass whipped by them records a couple times. But the thing about rapping, I think I started really when I was in middle school, like really messing with it. And I say that to say like I met MTS in middle school, and MTS, he at that time he was just the dude that had all the new mixtapes. He had all the new tapes, like all the K Slade tapes, all the Don D. He had them all, yo. So he would pass them around, or just just be playing, like be playing them Jones, and then you like, yo, who is this? And I think where it really kicked off for me was like around the time we first started hearing Budden. Joe Budden is like I tell people kiddingly he's my father, but he's not. But
wow.
I tell him he's like my dad because that's really where I kind of zoomed in on, and I really like the way that he tells the stories and all that. But I would go and kick it with MTS. We just used to ball a lot. So I had a basketball hoop up the street. We go and kick it, and afterwards we either go to his crib or my crib, but we would go to his crib, and he just had this setup where it was like, all right, I'm fucking watching street ball on this TV. I got the computer up, banging music, and then sometimes he just be sitting there writing. He wouldn't even say shit. So it's like, all right, what are you doing, my dude? And why am I sitting here watching street ball and like enamored with the sounds that I'm hearing, yo? Like, these is crazy sounds, yo. And I started seeing what he was doing, and then it got to a point where more people start coming through, and it's like I got my buddy Weez. He's on the Paparazzi record on GS4. He was around us a lot at that time. We had some other dudes in the neighborhood that was around us at the time, but there was a time where we started ciphering, just playing around, like joking around. But all of my cipher bars was like little 4-bar packs of me trying to freestyle. And then it turned into like, I'm going to just aim and shoot. So I would, joke my mans or do whatever. And it would be like that, And then I told myself, like, I really like doing this shit. I found a way to express myself, because I was a quiet dude. I think all of them will tell you I was a really quiet guy. I ain't yell for much. I won't trying to stun. I won't trying to, be weird or nothing like that. So they'll tell you I was quiet. But about 13, I moved away. and then I heard Stillmatic. And I came right before that. Mo had just like showed me how to like write in a notebook. Like I don't know if he remembered this shit. He might not. But he showed me how to write in the book, and I was like, all right, that's all I got to do. I gotta make sure every line I write on fit that beat, and as long as it fit that line and that beat, I'm Gucci. Like I got it. And I really started writing about the time Stillmatic came out. So Stillmatic was like a platform for me. Of course, I had to go back and research a lot of shit. I know a lot more than I did when I was younger, and I mean, I learned a lot then. But it had to be about 13. Stillmatic, coming back from Puerto Rico. I was coming back from Puerto Rico in 8th grade. I had just left all these guys that I'm talking about in middle school. I left them and I was gone. So the only thing I really had to do was either speak Spanish or write raps. And I chose to write raps for that entire time. So it was that. I mean, I learned Spanish, but, you know, it was more about what can I write? You know, like, how can I do this? You know, like, how can I create? They had no beats. They had nothing. I was just writing to the songs that I was hearing and trying to rap while them niggas was rapping and trying to see if I could get it right. You know?
Right.
That was it. It was all trial and error and, like, you know, repetition. You know, the more push-ups you do, the stronger you going to get, you know. So that was my mind state for while I was gone. I kind of treat Puerto Rico like it was like my year away in jail. You know what I'm saying? Not that it was a bad place, but just for my friends as a 13-year-old, you know what I'm saying? You don't got your people. The people that you around ain't nothing like your people. You know what I'm saying? So it's different. You know, it was a good place, but it wasn't a good spot for me socially. You know what I'm saying? So it was different. But yeah, it was about that time, just kind of being alone and trying to figure it out, learning what I learned and taking what I learned and keeping it, and then just kind of expounding on it, making it bigger and trying to go from there. So when I came back, it was like, all right, I'm gonna show these niggas what I've been doing. And you know, eventually my boy Weez has a brother, and he ended up taking me to some dude's house and some weird studio set up. My man, his name is Presser, and he ended up recording me, and that's why I was like, all right, I could do this shit. Like, I can really do this shit. It was very monotone. It was trash. It was garbage, but I was recording. So I was really happy to, you know that I could be doing this. And then I kind of stepped into, you know, high school. Ended up getting smoked by Tills in a lunch battle. Getting humbled.
It's so funny to hear you, like, you mentioned battling a lot. And we'll get to that in a minute. But so what I'm seeing here is a timeline. MTS says, stay up, driving down the freeway. Rough stuff.
Absolutely.
Them Daggz, MTS, bought it classics. That's so funny, MTS, because he was playing joints that y'all had from like mad long ago the other night. And I was like, y'all weren't playing. Like, y'all were for real. Like, y'all were seriously like doing this. And it's so funny to hear it, like, MTS. So the timeline that I'm getting is like, started off with Dad being the influence, having records and playing them. And then you meet your friends, right? MTS. And then it sort of just blossomed into an interest into hip hop, just being around, you know, your buddies and learning from folks like MTS, who was like, I know he's a rap fanatic. So it's like his whole life, he's literally made for
That's the fella I was talking about that took me to the studio for the first time. He knew a dude that he was working with that had a little inside studio in the crib, and he was the dude. So hey, I wasn't expecting to see, bro. But thank you, bro, for that shit, for real.
Yes, thank you, Jupiter Jack, because now we have Daggz right now. Thank you, Jupiter Jack. Thank you, MTS, because now we have Daggz here currently with us. Another thing I was going to ask, so do you think music created like a discipline for you at like a younger age? Because like we see people get into different things like basketball, like playing a sport or whatever, and like it seems like when you said you went to Puerto Rico, like you didn't really have a social life because you're away from your friends. So then like music became sort of a discipline for you.
It started there. And I mean, like I said, we ended up moving back for high school because it just, you know, we had to bring my grandmother back with us. But when it started in high school, man, I was locking myself in a room. I had tunes, I had system, you know what I'm saying? I said, lock myself in a room and just work, and then it got to a point where I went to another studio, just a more official one, and then that's when these relationships from middle school and then the new ones from high school kind of met. So that's where you get Tills, and then you get MTS, and then you get all these other guys that are coming in now. And I don't think MTS quite yet was even ready to start recording. He wasn't even thinking about it on that tip, So I was kind of the first one to go and start recording, but I'm watching all of the older dudes that's in front of me, and I'm like, oh shit, they did they cover like this. Oh shit, they doing this like, oh, he fucked that up. I can't do that. Like, so I'm watching them do this stuff, and it's crazy, to get that, and then to constantly just, all right, every time I get $20, I'm going. Studio session was $20 an hour, man. Like, it was $20 an hour, and I was like, yo, I'm going. I'm going. As soon as I would get money, I'm going to the studio right away. I don't care, like, anytime I could get an hour, I would get an hour. I don't give, if I couldn't one take the song, I get pissed off and have to pay him again. So it's just like, I challenge myself to, like, try to one take. I challenge myself to try to be as clean as I possibly can going in. It always wasn't the case. Sometimes a studio session is really a boxing session, and you really lose weight, you really sweat, you really fighting in there, you really trying to get something clean and get it down perfect. And that's all it was. It was just reps. It was just reps. And then to, like I said, MCS and some of the other guys that I was rapping with, they come soon after, not very long. I wasn't making records for years before they came along, but once they came along, it got more comfortable, because now I'm not in the studio with just the engineer who I know, but I'm in there with my friends, my best friends, my friends that I've known, and gone through a lot of shit with my whole life, So it's it's really like that, it was just repetitions, and then trying to stay on some, this is what I want to do shit, without being the asshole rapper. Like, there was an asshole rapper at every school. I felt like when I started rapping, I ain't gonna mention no names about that, but they out there. So it's just trying to be humble and just trying to just be as clean and clear as I could possibly be. And I think that's really what it was. Just the reps, and then that got me ready. So once I really did start dropping mixtapes, like Grind Season 2 was probably the real, all right, he's really doing this shit now. Now it makes sense. Like, now it doesn't sound so, he don't know what he's doing. He ain't recording right. Is he near the mic? Like, what is he doing? You know what I'm saying? So Grind Season 2 is really where it came together. And I met some other guys that are called High Caliber Music up in Rochester, New York, and ended up helping me get DJ Block to come and DJ the whole thing. And that's when I knew I had a DJ on the record, I lost my fucking mind. Like, cause I was like, how? Like, how does this shit happen? Like, how do you get this good to get this? Like, I was seeing other cats do it, but like, I just felt dope. I was just like, man, damn, a DJ really sat down and took time to do this shit. Yeah. Shit, like, so it's just, it's just meeting people, knowing people, letting people feel me out online, and working with certain producers who had some swing back in the day. There's a cat named Harley Mack from Virginia. I think he's out here in Cali somewhere still, but he did a lot of production for G Unit. He did, I think, Weatherman for Jim Jones and Stack Bundles and them. So, like, just knowing certain guys that were also doing music around the same time I was, at the same age I was a big deal as well.
See, but this is what I love about, like, the underground, and, like, hearing the stories of, like, what I call a journey to music. Like, just, I feel like we don't hear these stories anymore. I feel like we don't hear, like, we know that there are folks out here grinding, but I feel like it's more, we see more of, like, the commercial success, and we see True, you in here? What's up, True? We see a lot of, like, the commercial success, and we don't get to hear the stories of the folks who are in the underground or on the rise, right? Artists on the rise, and their stories, and how they came to find music and to find hip hop for you specifically. And we don't hear those stories enough. And I feel like there's just so important for people who are out here, on the grind and feel like they're alone in the process, because it's such a unique choice to decide, like, I'm going to do music, like, I'm going to take this seriously. And when you're underground, sometimes you can feel alone. Sometimes you can feel like, am I on this journey? And so it's wonderful for you to have had, like, friends and, like, folks around you who were on that same journey with you and had a sense of community,
just seeing
right?
Them, bro, we see these fools in school and it's like, yo, what's cracking, man? We going or what? You know what I'm saying? Like, are we going tonight or what? Nah, man, I'm doing this, that, and the third. We got a football game. We got this. We got, man, well, y'all go in there and do that shit. I'm going to go do this shit over here. So it was like that. And then, like I said, I come from the competitive side of rap where I'm not, every rapper I look at, I size him up, and that's just natural because of the era that I started in. I can't be like that anymore, although I like to, but it's not as competitive now. Everybody's doing different and it sounds different. Nothing really sounds the same. The styles are blending and mashing and just being different today. So much so that I feel like, people are less afraid, which is a good thing. To come out and do music, not that we all love all of it, but we appreciate it,
right.
And it is what it is. So, like, I really feel like, just coming from that competitive era was something that was able to spark me for what I'm doing right now, and then just to keep me sharp, because you either got embarrassed or you got love. Like, that was, so I really was. I always used to tell myself, like, I want to battle, I want to do this, I want to freestyle, I want to do. And when I started doing it, I realized, like, yo, you either gonna get your ass beat and they gonna not mess with you no more, or you gonna win and they gonna show you love. But when you got your ass beat, boy, it didn't feel good. Like, you know what I'm saying? They made you feel it. So yeah.
Yeah, it was like growing pains and like learning, and that, like, I feel like that era, and this is why I like love to interview folks who have been doing this for a long time, is because, like, sometimes we don't, like, just like what I said a minute ago, we don't hear these stories, and, like, that's such a unique experience, like the competitive side of, like, hip hop, and it's still there, but I feel like now there's so many resources and so many opportunities that folks can utilize modern day to get on, and, like, you can have one viral moment and, like, now you popping, right? But back in the day, it was like grind, talk about grind, right? Like, you're absolutely right. That's like a part of your tagline for a reason, because, like, niggas was grinding for real and, like, getting after it, and there was no, I mean, y'all had the internet and stuff, y'all utilized things, but you can know now from then to modern times the way you can utilize social media
and use it
to your advantage to push your music. It's just
word. Like, what's up? You trying to get in the top 8 or what?
Word.
Well, I mean, it's that kind of stuff.
Right. And so it's just, so it's just an interesting experience, and I, like, love to hear these stories and stuff. So before we get to GS4, I want to know what happened with, like, the hiatus from rap. Like, did you consciously decide to leave it, or, like, did life just happen? And, like how, because GS4 is, like, your introduction back into the rap thing, and, like, don't share anything you don't want to share, like, that's super personal, but like
it was
MySpace Poppy.
Why my hiatus was, I ended up going to school out of state, and I ended up going to Full Sail. It's where they do all the engineering and all that other stuff for. And your boy didn't make it. Money got tight. I didn't really have very much support, so I was out. And I knew people that could record me while I was down there, but recording costs money, and the guys that I was looking at, they mixed I Really Rap on GS4, and they just were a pretty penny, but they was worth it to me, so I was putting out maybe 1 or 2 songs maybe every couple months. So the grind really came, like, back from, like, doing 22 and 23 track mixtapes. Like, grind season is all of them, maybe up until 4, had at least 20 records on. So, like, it wasn't just me not doing nothing or me goofing off or whatever. Like 20 records, features, sometimes records with 8 to 10 dudes on them just going crazy, like cypher type records, like all that stuff. So I got away from that, and just the output just kind of dwindled a little bit. And then before I even went down to Florida, I had my first daughter. You know, Ari. She was born, and you know, of course, that's more money out of the pocket. You know, and it made things a little more difficult. So all I was really able to do was hold my apartment down and just write. You know what I'm saying? Like that's really where I was at, and I could chalk it up to a little bit of hate in certain situations. I could chalk it up to, you know, me making people feel a certain way. I have this look about me when we live, you know, on set and in direct. I come off as intimidating to a lot of people. It's just my face, man. You know, I try to smile and let y'all know shit is cool. Like, but it's just my face, man. Like, I love everybody. Like, I've grown a lot since the last 10 years. So everything on GS4 is from an aggressive young man's point of view who's probably more mad at the world than not. You know what I'm saying? So all I know is that even in this instance that we in right now, this is a rebirth for me. So I'm trying not to, like, fuck it up by saying stuff like, man, this is me. You know, like, this is how I'm gonna be. You know, like, even see, Nick is my man. Like, and he know. Like, yeah.
Blaze said, "Oh, me, mugging ass
nigga." I can't change my face, man. Like, I just, like, I'm not gonna smile at you because I don't know you. Like, like, what the fuck am I smiling at you for? That's weird. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm that kind of dude.
But that's such a Southern thing. Like, being from the South, like, I smell like motherfuckers all the time.
I'm Jamaican though, man. So like, we not like I'd rather look on the ground and see what I can fucking hit you with than smile at you, you know? Because if I don't know what you're here for, I don't know what you're here for, you know? So that's just how it is. And my people is like that. My dad is the same way. You know, as much as I try not to be exactly like him, I can't shake that. Like, even in the times that we went together tight, you know what I'm saying? Like, I used to get grounded for just looking like this nigga. Like, it was crazy. Like, you laughing, but like, dead ass, I used to get grounded for just looking like it. So, it's, you know, it's that. I'm not trying to put nobody off or be mean to nobody or nothing like that, but I bite. I bite, and I'm mean. I could be mean, but, you know, I've grown from over that last 10 to 15 year period, and especially a lot more in the last, you know, 3 to 5, just because, you know, I've had my new daughter. She's, you know, when you get 2 of them girls, you can't not melt. You know what I'm saying? So, like, when you get 2 girls, you can't not melt and not want to be super protector and all this other stuff. So I walk around with a mug a lot more for them than me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like for my people, man. I'll fuck you up. Like, so that's just kind of how I am, man. And I never change that because it's not a defense mechanism. It's just who I am. You know, and why change who I am in a world where you're supposed to be who you are? You know, like. That's how I feel about that. But yeah, it's, you know, it is what it is, man.
Okay, so you had life, literally, like,
I was
grind,
too young
right?
to
Going
do
back
too
to grind,
much,
right?
if that made sense. You know what I'm saying? So that's really what it was. I came out swinging crazy, and at that time I had a
like young folks, like that's young spirited, right? Like, you know, you strive towards something, you grind towards something, and then, like, you start to get older and like life fucking happens and you're like, shit, like,
you gotta keep your lights on,
cost
player.
money
Like,
out
you
here.
can't do
like,
this shit anymore.
Right,
like, you have to eat today.
Word. Like, I'm not making any money.
It's different. So
yeah, but I feel like that's so real though. That's why I asked that question, because like rapping, like, is not a fairy tale. It's not like, you know, it like you're grinding towards something, and there are times where, you know, when you're in the beginnings of it, rap isn't paying money, right? Music, whether you're not a rapper or not, it won't be paying money unless you're doing gigs and stuff like that. And that's hard when you're starting out and people don't really know who you are and want to book you for shit, right? So I feel like now, especially in our era, like in modern times, people are getting more into the entertainment industry, and like some people are seeing quick success and some people aren't. But like there is a side to this that is not bubbly and sweet, and it is hard work and it is grind. And there will be times where you have to choose to keep your motherfucking lights on, or if you want to go to the studio and spend $20 or whatever it is now.
I gotta have shit together. I wanted my kids to come visit me, so you can't be fucked up when you got kids. So that's just how I treated everything. I'd rather starve than let them not have their lights or not have their food and stuff like that. I won't eat if they can have it and I can't. I'm cool. I'm cool with that. That's how it is. So
right. So in that 10-year period, you were figuring out life was happening, but you were still doing music. That's how we had GS4. So how did you get back into it? Like, was it a certain somebody? Was it certain people? Was it your own decision? Like, I kind of miss this right now. Like, I miss doing music and like putting it out publicly.
Yeah, like when I told you, I moved to Cali from Florida, and I told my wife today, I told her like, yo, like, you remember when I used to walk around just angry as shit, not being able to, like, I had no outlet. You know what I'm saying? And I knew that was my outlet. When I put the pen to the pad, everything come out, and even though I don't record it, I know it's that energy is in there, and I know where to put it. You know what I'm saying? So like, more times than not, it was just, man, I'm pissed off because I can't express myself, and there were moments where I felt like I couldn't do that at all, and I feel like now I've found a way to be able to do that, and even over the last couple of months as I've started, I've watched you interview other folks, and even watching those interviews, I was building my shit. I was building it up. I was taking my time to do it. Honestly, if it wasn't for Tills, it'd be a different conversation. We probably, I'd probably still be, in the chats like, yo, what's up? But I wouldn't be sitting like this. Because Tills would tell me, man, you got so much shit you sitting on, man. Why don't you just put it out? And I'm like, man, because I don't know if I want to do this yet. Niggas don't want to record me. Nobody really wants to record anybody, from what I've noticed. Unless it's just me. If y'all like to record people, man, let me know. If you close by, let me know, man. I'll come and kick it. You know what I'm saying? But like, I feel like niggas just don't like to do stuff for other people, and I don't come from that from that cut. Like if I have it to do it and I can help, that's the type of shit I'm on. Like, so that's why, when you guys first saw Russia Me, it was me saying like, yo, Mo's album is coming out. Oh, I'm fucking with Books' album. Oh, Till's new album is out. Like, I show more love than I get, and I know it sound bad and it sound like I'm begging for it, but it's just how it is, and I'm cool with that. Like, I'm cool with that, because I don't do it looking for nothing. I do it, because I believe in the shit that I like. You know what I'm saying? I believe in the shit that I think is dope. I believe in people that are doing dope shit or have dope ideas. I mean, that's really what it is as far as that. Tills is a big part because, I mean, he called me and talked to me like he's my big brother, and he'd call me and tell me like, yo, why don't you just do this shit? Why don't you buy the shit yourself and do it yourself? I'm like, nigga, because I suck. I can't do that shit. Like, he's like, nah, you can do it, man. Just do this shit. Just take your time and get it done. And of course, once I knew I could do it, like the inner smile went up. You know what I'm saying? I was like, oh shit, it's about to be lit. Like I'm about to do this shit. So I went out, it took me a moment. I got Pro Tools, I got all this shit. And in my mind, I'm like, yo, now I gotta teach myself how to do this. I ain't never done this. I ain't sat on this side of the game before. I'm always on the other side of the glass, So like now I'm my own machine, and it feels really good. And it feels really good to know that, like, Tills can hit me up and say, yo, you got a 16 for me? Or Mo can hit me up and say, yo, you got a 16? And I could turn it around the same day. So like the idea of, like, it expounded what I think Grand Right to be. You know what I'm saying? So I should have always had this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I could have had it back then, it'd probably be a different conversation that we having now too. You know, like, but I should have always had this, and now that I have it, I ain't gonna let it go. It's gonna be here. I'm always gonna throw on a sample. I'm always gonna throw on something crazy that I could vibe out to, rock to, and if it draw me to rap to it, I'm gonna kill that shit. That's just how it is. Like, I'm happy to not have to start over and like, damn, I don't know how to do this, you know. But I'm happy to learn the new shit. Like the GS4 cover, I did that shit myself. I'm like, man, how I'm gonna do this shit real quick? Let me find this shit out, and then I just do it. You know what I'm saying? So like now, I'm empowering myself a little bit more with it, right? Like I'm making it a big deal, and I feel like a lot of cats are already doing this. But again, I come from an era
I was just about to say,
I feel like and you pay for that shit, man.
Yeah.
So that's really what it is.
Yeah. I was just about to say, and you're totally right, Tills. Who doesn't love this dude, man? Word, Tills. Like, what's so funny is I feel like that's a common thread with, like, the underground cats now, like, in modernity. They're, like, starting to take control over those aspects. And I think that's also why you're seeing a lot more success with underground folks, because they're taking control of their careers and buying the equipment to record yourself, learning how to use Pro Tools and et cetera, like adding things to your weapon, you know, like adding, you know, resources and tools. Like you said, you made your own cover. Like those were things that back in the day you may not have like ventured into or like invested in. And I think that's what's a part of the success that we're seeing with like the underground folks is like taking control of that, and being, you know, forthcoming and being like, yo, I need to do this if I want to be successful, and like taking the time to sit down and like research and learn, and like that's growth in of itself, you know. It's like realizing that you need to do something and like investing in that. And so I feel like underground artists right now are investing in their careers more than just the writing aspect of it or the rapping aspect of it, right? Like monetarily spending money to buy equipment and saving money by not going to the studio if you don't do that. Making your own cover, like Till's in here. Till's painted his own cover. So it's like
he miles ahead
taking
of me with
control.
That shit. You ain't never gonna catch me doing no fly shit like that. That's fly shit.
I'm gonna commission something from Till's. Till's out here wilding. So it's wonderful to hear that, and it's so important because now we have your new release. We have GS4, which, by the way, first and foremost,
thank you.
Incredible work. I remember before it came out, you were like, well, it's old stuff. Like, you know, I'm coming out with new stuff. Like, it's old stuff. And then I open it up and I listen to it, and I'm like, but this can function in the modern world. Like, it most certainly is a capsule, right? Like, it is like in a time period, right? Like even the use of some of the samples, right? Production wise, right? Like it is representative of an era, a time period, but it is also very applicable to like modern day. Like people are still making this kind of music, and it aged well, basically. True said, hold on, for someone who hasn't heard you yet, where would you recommend I start?
Wherever you like. I'd say start at GS4 because that's not gonna be what you see from here on out. The content in GS4 is gonna change. Flow's gonna be the same. Sound is probably gonna be a little more like that than not. More original music, but the content, the Daggz, the Daggz, the man is now gonna be spitting rather than the kid that was, all right, I got all this fly shit for you, here you go. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to be a little more aware of where I'm at, who I'm talking to, who I'm trying to get to, and that's really what it is. I want to step up my concept, my storytelling, and just kind of get a little more personal as well, because a lot of the rounds that you're going to hear on GS4, I mean, it's really going to sound like 2003, 2006, with some newer shit, you know. That's really all it is. I can go far back as like 96 and sounding like something, but like really it's gonna be the content with the meat and potatoes. The bars on the inside is really what's gonna step up different, you know. Like now I find myself, I'm writing an outro for the next joint already. So it's like I'm not that I'm done. I'm just writing the outro because there's a concept that I have for it, and I want to bring that to life before I do the rest of the album for my inspiration, you know. But the GS4 is not a bad place to start. I mean, if you you follow me at any time, I'll go on live, and like Alex said, I'll be up there blazing records from when I was 15 years old. So it just depends if you want to catch some new stuff. And I'm not even opposed to people hitting me up like, yo, where your old shit at? Like, just hit me up. Like, so whatever y'all need, man, I'm here for y'all. All that stuff is older, and it's cool that it's older, but I don't have no problem sharing nothing. I ain't scared of nobody. I ain't worried about nobody. So it's all good.
Yes, true. Definitely check out GS4. That's his latest release. Yeah, just incredible work. And I think what stood out to me the most is like, well, there was a few things that stood out to me the most, but going back to the nostalgia, like the time capsule thing, like I think people, like, more than they admit, they like nostalgia and they like that feeling of like, like it just feels good. It feels familiar. It feels like something, like a time period. It almost takes you back to where you were during that time period. And that's what GS4 did for me. I was like, wait a minute, like I was getting flashbacks from like just hearing certain samples or hearing certain flows or beats or like approach to the music. I'm like, yo, Daggz is ill for this for real, because you can take like a time capsule and make it applicable to like modern day and make people like feel, and nostalgia is like usually a great feeling. And so I was like, this is incredible. Like you kept saying like, this is old music, like I got new stuff going on. I'm like, nah, I'm listening to this. Like, you know, there were so many, like, just so many things that stood out, like just how your voice translates over tracks. Like, I think it's funny that you mentioned being young and reporting some of the music on there, because you can definitely like tell like some of the mentality on there is like you're extremely confident and like, but I think it translates well. I think it creates this energy that gives you hype, and it's like you can feel like the young spiritedness in it. And then you can feel other tracks where they're like more backpacky, you know, like
I didn't know
old
what I was
school flows.
doing,
and
I just did what I could do. Yeah.
But it's so good. Altogether, it works, though. It's so good. And I feel like the project is cohesive. I think
like that?
It does a good
Honestly,
job at... I do. When I say cohesive, so I think people have different opinions on, like, what cohesiveness is. Like, to me, it doesn't necessarily even have to be, like, thematic. Like, I think when some people think cohesive is, like, did this project have a certain theme, and did it carry out from the, like, beginning to the end? My type of, like, it's like way more than that. It's like, did the quality come in hot, and did it maintain throughout the project, right? Was there quality sounds? Were the beats doing what they were supposed to be doing? Was Daggz on there doing what he was supposed to be doing? Was he keeping up the energy throughout the track? Was he lazy starting out with his rhymes, and did he like rev up a little bit, or was he revving up at the beginning, or did he get lazy? So like, those are the things that I, like, as a person who listens to music and like, you know, analyzes, I think of. So in terms of cohesiveness, to me, it's like a mix of things. It's like, you know, it could be a theme, it could be just technical aspects of like recording music. And I think in terms of like the technical aspects and the quality, I thought GS4 did a really great job at being cohesive in that regard.
I literally just picked 10 songs and I just threw them wherever. I literally didn't like these songs were so spread out and so far apart, like, and even the stories behind some of these songs were like like I Really Rap was just a good day in Florida. You know, Hardest to Hearts was a few days after my first was born. Paparazzi was me, Nick, and Weez in the studio, drunk off a fifth of Ciroc. Like, it's just, you know, it's crazy, you know. So I didn't really have a direction. It was still said, man, just put that shit out. And I literally was just like, well, fuck, he's right. You know, like, let me just put this shit out. And I mean, I could have made that shit 20 tracks. You know, like, I could have made it 20, but I know what today is doing. I know what I like to listen to. I know, you know, me hearing 20 tracks at one time is like damn near fucking overwhelming as hell to do. So I told myself, all right, man, not 20, let's do 10, you know, and just see what happens. You know, and if it come out, cool. If it don't, you know, it's whatever. You know, you did these songs. I didn't have any pressure on myself because I know when I did the song. You know, I know how long ago things was, and then how things have come and gone since then. So it's like, man, they either gonna like this shit or they don't. And if they never play this shit again, how do you lose? like you getting ready to give them something else. So I don't trip. I'm looking at what's in front of me right now. Although grind season and the entire series is very story driven behind what's really happened in my life. Um, it's fun. It's fun to go back and listen. So even when I was playing the records for you that me and MTS was doing, and Vega was bugging out about, like I remember like sitting there and writing those records with them. You know what I'm saying? And like I like it's or just recording it in the studio together. You know what I'm saying? So like this depends. It's been multiple times where I'll listen to them old records, or shit, I might fuck around and hit shuffle once or twice, and then you hear some shit, you're like, damn, I did that. You know what I'm saying? Like that shit, like I forgot this shit was even the song. I think I played some shit for Nick the other night. He was like, man, I don't remember doing this shit, man. Like, and I was like, yeah, man, it's like that. It's fun. It's fun. I like that GS4 could kind of be a time capsule of where I was at in those years that I got missing. You know what I'm saying? So like it's pretty cool.
And I love the production of it too. I think who produced it? Was it multiple producers or was it one person?
Beats. I'm sure a lot of beats that we heard.
Yeah,
there's some up there, but the producer on most of those records was Harley Mack, man. From he did a lot of those records. He used to go by Magic back in the day. Good dude, man. He a great producer. Can literally produce anything. I've heard him do all kind of shit, and I mean, it's dope. So even to get a record with him on there rapping, we did that. What's it called? Bruh record. That was just kicking it in the apartment one day, and we ended up because he used to live across the street from me. So it's like we just used to walk over there and sometimes just be sitting there. No intent to do music. Just listen to him do whatever he's doing, and then hey, yo, you want to do this? All right. And it's like we got more records like that. I got a ton of records like that, but it's just fun, man. He's a good dude. Harley Mack, he handled a lot of my production. I mean, I think Mimo and Tools got a record of his coming soon. That's all I'm gonna say. So we got we got some.
Okay, so we still got Harley Mack in the
I
book.
could play Harley Mack beats to the day I die, man. So it's like, yeah, we gonna be alright.
Yeah, I love the production of it. I think I can tell a lot of it, 0 to 100, obviously. So it's like, I just really enjoyed it. I just thought it was like really quality work, and I thought it was extremely dynamic as well. Like I think we talked about this earlier, like the varying sounds, right? You have like your more confident sounding records, like hashtag I really rap, and then you have, you're kind of like aggressively attacking, and you're like, really like high energy, and then you have Coolin' at the end, which is kind of like the coda or the outro, and then you have like Lone Wolf Complex, and like that is kind of like a mix of both. I can see what's so funny. I was gonna ask you about this later, but like there's so many records that I could see you like on GS4 that I could see you like performing in real life. Like Lone Wolf Complex is one of them. Hashtag I Really Rap is another one of them. Like there's so many records on there that I could like imagine you on stage like performing well, and I was kind of interested in like whether or not you like would ever like perform these records, like, or are you into performing? Like, do you have
done a show? Oh shit! I probably haven't done a show since grind season 2, maybe. Yeah, so it's been a minute. Wow. Just because of all the moving and having to, I don't want to be an opener and not know nobody. I ain't coming back to this city no time soon. Like, it's that kind of stuff. But yeah, like I could see myself doing a couple records off of there. I mean, I could see me and Harley Mack linking up for Bruh. I could see myself doing Where I'm Coming From. I could see that just talking to people. I could see myself. I could definitely see myself doing Lone Wolf Complex. Long as they got oxygen on the side.
I would love that in a live show. Lone Wolf Complex would go fucking hard. Like I can imagine the audience like singing along. Like
just the hook would give me a second to not die, right? Like So I could really see that happening and just and just going the fuck in. I could definitely see that, man. I really gotta look into doing something like that. That might be dope. Just do a little pop up somewhere and just bug out.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think Simply Clever asked this earlier, and it was already on my like list of things to ask you, but now we're like coming into it and listening to GS4 and like having conversations with you. Like I'm just curious, like, do you think you have like a style? Like I've heard you said before you're like into the vintage sounding things, like you like backpacky things, but like do you feel like you have a sound already or have cultivated a sound? Are
I
you
don't
still
know what
looking?
it is because
Yeah.
the Virginia
Yeah.
in me won't allow me to have one. So like I get it's just whatever inspires me. And like like you said, it's the nostalgia.
Mm.
I'm big on I'm big on that. I
Mm-hmm.
still fucking play Nintendo. I don't play fucking PS5 and none of that shit. Like ask Nick. Nick played that shit. He's
Word.
like, man, you still ain't got one, man. And I told him the other day I might get one just to play God of War, but anyway, I'm really big on nostalgia. So like those records, even the J. Cole record that we did, I like how that feels, and I feel like that's my
Mm.
pocket, But I don't feel like I'm limited,
Mm.
Like I could do, records over a milli type beats. I could do records over drill type beats. I just gotta find
Mm.
my pocket on whatever it is, and I get in there and do it. A lot of what was left off of GS4 probably could have showed that a little bit more. Um, it's a it's fun. I take hearing these records and then all right, they ain't gonna get this from me. They would never get this from me. But I would like to do more of that on like feature work. I'd like to like, all right, man, come get me for a drill
Mm.
record. You know what I'm saying? Whoever, come get me for that record, and I'm gonna show the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me see how I could do that because
Mm.
it becomes a challenge. And there's not much that I feel like I can't do on a record unless I just don't like it. And if I don't like it, it don't go. So it's
Mm.
like as long as I like the
Right.
record, I should be okay. I think I should be able to hold my own unless I'm with the superstars and they start kicking my ass. But I don't think that's gonna be the case. Like I like to fight for my whole
Word.
thing is like, oh, who's on it? And, all right, let me go listen to their whole catalog. I want to see what's the most impressive thing that they can
Mm.
do. I love this so much that it's always a size up. I was listening. What's up, Books? I was listening. I was listening
What's
to
up,
Books
books?
the other night, man, and I was just like, man, his pen is
Too.
fucking ridiculous. Like I love Books' pen, man. Like I ain't gonna lie, I
Yeah,
love
books is
Books, bro.
incredible.
So I said, man, the day that we link up on one, oh my god, I gotta go God mode for Books, man. Like I can't wait. Yeah, yeah. So I
It's gonna
love
be
that shit, man.
insane.
Like, Till send me stuff and be like, hey, man, chill out, man. Like, like, this, you killing shit right now, bro. So it's like,
I think what's a common thread with like all of y'all is, and this was my next question too, on the theme of like style and like music and like approach, even with like GS4, like what stood out to me is the songwriting aspects, right? Like you make great songs, like, and I think in an era where sometimes we can kind of like put songwriting versus like a more technical heavy lyrical approach sometimes can like clash, and your decision to make more of a song and sort of versus like
mm-hmm.
more of like a lyrically woven track, not saying that songwriting like a song that you would play in the car doesn't have lyrical aspects to it, but sometimes we and sort of clash the two. So I think what stands out to me a lot about y'all is like y'all's attention to making songs that people can like Draco just said, Lone Wolf goes hard. Like it really does, right? And there are some not saying that lyrical miracle songs don't go hard either, but it's a different feel and like a different vibe, like a Lone Wolf versus like a song that's like technically like heavy in terms of the lyrical approach. So I'm just wondering, like, what's your methodology for like songwriting?
Because I'm such a hybrid. Because I rather have, like the nostalgia we talked about, that feel we talked about. I like that, but I could go, completely left and do something else on that, and it sounds crazy. Like it just depends. It really just depends. It's more of what I sound like, what I feel like, what the record sounds like, and what it calls for. A lot of what I'm doing right now is just rapping. I'm not even writing hooks yet. Like I think I sent something too. I was like, man, write this hook, bro. I don't want to do this, like, cause like I'm in a mode where I only want to rap. I don't want to sing and do hooks, and not that I can't do it, and not that I'm incapable. I just this is where I'm at. I want to bar these motherfuckers to death. Like that's really what I want to do, and that's just the pocket that I'm in, and I think it takes. It's gonna take the record to get me to say, all right, you know, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna plan this out. It's gonna be 3 verses, or it's gonna be I'm gonna write the hook, or the sample's gonna handle the hook, or whatever. Like, it takes for it to be what it is. But right now, I'm just in a space where if we can go, you want to go 40, let's go 40, and I'll go 40 straight, and I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna slack on not one arm, like. So it just depends,
right?
I'm really more into just feeling things out. I mean, even as a kid, like with MTS, a lot of the records, like the people say that Stay Up record that Vega was talking about, like my whole purpose in that record was to just throw that guy lobs. Like it was like, yo, I'm gonna just rap so much, so hard, and like make the flow like so perfect that he could just come in and fucking just slam dunk the punch. You know what I'm saying? So like in my mind, that's what I was doing. He might not have thought like that, but in my mind, that's what I was like. Man, fuck, I'm gonna just lob it to him. He gonna just keep that. And he did. He did that shit. He did exactly what I thought he was gonna do with it, and that's what made it dope. So it's like it just depends. It just depends where I'm at, who I'm with, who it is. All of those things. It's good, Mega.
I think that's the right approach. I think it's healthy to maintain both aspects. I think it's healthy to like explore like the songwriting aspects, and I think it's healthy to explore your technical and keep your mind sharp and do the heavy technical work as far as the lyrics and stuff. And I think there are going to be people that enjoy both, right? There are going to be folks that listen to you because they want to hear like the bars, and there are going to be folks that listen to you because they love your songwriting abilities. They love a hook that you came up with. You might have a song where, in the crowd, people are raging to it. You might have a song where it's more backpacky and cool feeling and like fly, and people just kind of like sway side to side.
I'll be in here talking all kind of shit, like, and the girls be in here, I'll be like, yo, I got this fucking scheme, yo, this shit is crazy. Like, I did a double entendre here, and I'm trying to explain this shit to them, and they're like, the fuck are you talking to me about, man? Like, this shit is not sweet to me, yo. And I'm just like, damn, yo, now I gotta go crazy. Like, I gotta write another one and try to make them get like, it's that kind of shit, man. I'm just a fucking nerd with rap. Like, I like to be nerdy. I like to try and see how much I can get past you. I feel like a lot of the ears that I touch, people know what I'm saying, right? And they're trying to get what I'm saying. But I'm trying to also put something past you and make you think a little bit harder too. The guile of the game, I guess. How you can be witty and tricky and, like you said, a little more technical. I feel like the flow is not limited, right? Like I feel like I can rap fast, I can rap slow, I can rap like the Migos, like that's not the issue for me. It's how to get those points in and out through those things. You know what I'm saying? It's like lacing a sneaker almost, right? Like, how does these cross over? How do they touch each other? How do they, you know what I'm saying? How does it, how does it overlap? And then it makes it to the end, and you're like, how the fuck did we get here with that same fucking premise? Like, those things that I take a lot of time with. So the songs that I'm writing, like, depending on how the record goes, it all falls out or it doesn't. And then there's some songs that I know I gotta write this shit, but I'm not gonna be able to get it done in the next 15 minutes. It's gonna take some time. Like, I gotta put some serious thought into this, because you just want the shit to connect, or you want somebody to say, I remember when Daggz did this wild ass shit saying this, and I didn't get that he was talking. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wanna reach for your thought. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of where it is with me, the wordplay, just the design of the scheme. What are we talking about? How does it, does it hit hard enough when you finish it that they get it? Do you completely miss them and they catch it 2 years later and they hit you up like, yo, I'm a fucking idiot, but I told you I was listening to this and this happened and I'll never, and then I'll be like, yeah, somebody got that shit. Like, so it's like, it's that kind of stuff. I'm trying to play you for your mind and see what you can see and see if you see what I see too, like, so it's dope like that. And that's a part of my artistry, is to, not to be a cat that's trying to like be very covert or like hide meanings and things, but to just be witty enough to see if you can run with me, when I'm thinking these things. Normally it's after smoking one of these and then I come with all this crazy shit that I can just fit together and it just works. But more times than not, I don't struggle writing. I push myself a little harder and it takes a little longer to get what I'm trying to do done. So like I'm working on an outro now. I'm gonna do an announcement. I hope this works is my new project. It's coming out at the end of the year. I hope this works. Don't forget that shit, y'all. I'm doing an outro for I hope this works, and it's to talk about my friends and to talk about a moment that me and my friends went through, and it's a very vulnerable moment for me. So I don't just want to say anything, and then I don't want to play them to look like something that they may not be or they may not like. You know what I'm saying? So it's a real record. It really happened. It's gonna be dope when I'm done with it, but these are the type of things when I say I'll start scheming, let me think about it. But when you start involving your people or you start involving things that are actually real, you don't want to lack by just saying the basic. You see what I'm saying? Because everybody can say, oh, me and my niggas, I love my niggas, I love. Like, we could do that. That's, I love my niggas, but I don't want to say it to them back. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd rather say it to you in a way that you pick it up and you're like, all right, man, that's my nigga Daggz. Like, he looked out right there and he didn't do it like rapper 9675. You know what I'm saying? Like, he did it like Daggz. So that's really what it is for me in my writing process. Is to just let it come to me. If it falls out, run it. Go as far as you can with that shit. If it don't scrap it. Don't throw it away. Don't look at it like you don't like it. Come back to it and see if it don't look different. Come back to it. See, like, I'm in that mentality of like, if I can't do something, I'm gonna train until I can do it. and if I can't beat your ass, I'm gonna fight you until I can beat your ass. Like, that's just how it is. Like, I'm not gonna stop. Trying to get my point across because I know what the intent is and I know what the feeling is supposed to be. And I'm not gonna just like say, oh well, I rock with my niggas, peace, and that's how I'm supposed to show them I love them. So it's really that kind of stuff for me. It's not just making it basic. It's making it hard to understand for others, but easy for them to hear and get. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's that fine line of witty and practical, I guess, if that makes sense.
That's so interesting too, because like I hear just being around a lot of artists and like especially like artists that rap or in hip hop specifically, when it comes to songwriting or just writing in general, there is often that battle between you get out what you put into it. That's very, very true. Books that I knew I was right when I got yeah.
That's a good measurement.
It's a good measurement for wittiness and reference points. But I can see like, and because it's the work of writing in general as a person who got a degree in English, and like I know that a lot of times there are times where you want to relay a point to an audience, but the process to getting to that point that you're trying to relay can be difficult sometimes. And I know specifically for, rappers and musical artists, just from what I hear, like, there are times where it like flows out, right? And it's just like flowing and you're getting it. And then there are times where you just said, no, I'm gonna have to wait a little bit on this one. I'm gonna have to take this one a little slower. I'm gonna have to put a little more like brain power into it, right? Because if, like Book said, when I got One Past Vega, if you're like Vega and you're doing like a reference heavy style, right, then like that's probably gonna, take some time and take some effort and brain power and mental power. And it versus if like you're something just comes like songwriting aspect, something just comes to your brain and it's like you're emotional about it, so it's just kind of like flowing out of you. It might not take as much. But yeah, it's just really interesting, and I love asking that question because, like, just like you perfectly laid it out, like sort of your experience and your methodology. I just love to get into the brain of the artist and like just hear how y'all approach the aspects of songwriting. And I listen to books all the time too, because especially with like hooks, you were saying earlier, like I don't feel like writing this hook, write this hook. Like that's another aspect of specifically like songwriting that like sometimes gets lost in the more technical work when you're performing on that side of the spectrum. And I think with guys like you, managing both of it is like the right approach, because then you get a wider audience of of people who, like you said earlier, you're like, I wrote a double entendre. Okay, but then there's going to be a person on the other opposite end that's like, oh my God, exactly what you're talking about. Like, whoa, and they're going to be studying your lyrics, trying to figure out like what you're saying. And so I just love folks that approach sort of the middle ground, and like, I know it can take on either sides of the spectrum. It can take a lot of work, and it can be challenging, I'm sure. So it's just really interesting to hear the process and stuff. But we'll wrap up on GS4. I want to know what your expectations are for GS4. Like, do you have any expectations for GS4?
No, I mean,
zero. That's a good way to be. You don't necessarily have to have any.
GS4 is literally like just the, hey guys, I rap too. Like, like that's really what it was, man. Like it wasn't to I gotta get everybody. This is the hottest shit I can come up with right now to get them. This is the hottest shit I have right now to get them. No, I mean, I left a lot of records off of that. So I really did it, just to showcase, who I am, I guess, again. But to let them see pretty much seeing where I came from, right? So like all the stuff before that is who I was, who I'd been, and that was like the peak of that. So like that book is closed. You're getting Daggz, a grown man, over 30, married with bars, and I'm trying to do this shit for the married niggas. The niggas be trying to shit on niggas that's married. Like they can't rap, bro. Like I'm about to smack the shit out y'all niggas that say married niggas can't rap, bro. Because it's really
Word, and I think what's so funny is like, and we'll talk about that too, because I kind of want to like the idea that being like in a relationship or being married and like chasing after the dream of becoming a rapper specifically is like you can't do both. Like you can't be married or you can't be in a like committed relationship and be a rapper because of like what it entails, or so it's just interesting to hear you because you are married. Blaze said married niggas are the greatest rappers ever, bro. And it's like, so it's just interesting. And like you can speak on that a little bit too, just like weighing, and even being a father, right, too, like just weighing being a father, being married, and like chasing after the dream of like hip hop and rap, and like just how to manage all of that. And like it certainly is possible to be married and be a rapper and be successful at doing it, and not be taken over with temptations and other aspects of hip hop culture and the industry.
It's wild because I feel like there's a lot of these stories are sometimes the same. We look at athletes, like you look at the younger guys now and they just have kids. Jason Tatum is like the MVP right now. He's looking like an MVP right now. I'm not a Boston fan by any measure, but that's the guy that I got. He just dropped 50 recently. So like he got a son, and I feel like, right after he had his son, he thought, all right, I gotta borrow, what I'm saying? Like I gotta get that, like I ain't gonna be in this league forever, so I gotta do something with it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, when I had my daughter, I was still, busting ass, my 12-year-old. Shit. When I had my 12-year-old, I was still busting ass, and Hardest of Hearts happened right after she was born. I was just in a bad space because, things with mother didn't work out as well as I would have liked them to. And I mean, ain't no big deal with that. You know, we move on and things get better, right? So, you know, I was an angry person at that point in time, and so Hardest of Hearts came to me. Harley Mack made that shit. I was like, this shit is sick as fuck. Now, it sounds like a rock record almost, right? Like, but I was like, man, I really feel that grungy ass guitar in my soul, bro. Like, I'm gonna go and rap to this, you know, and I'm gonna be me, but I'm gonna be a little more aggressive. I'm gonna push a strain in my voice. I'm gonna, you know, give them what I feel like. And at the time, I think it was just a lot of this funny rapping shit going on. And I was just tired of, like, you know, Molly rap and all that other shit, you know. So, you know, you set your sights on something and you execute, and then it comes out. But, like, what I can say about being married, you know, like, my wife is my biggest fan. You know, she... Like, I think we were talking before, and you mentioned, like, how the voice is and stuff. Like, she was one of the first people to tell me, like, your voice is dope. Why don't you perform? Why don't you go and do this? And so she's always kind of believed in me, and she always kind of knew, like, man, you're gifted, you know, why don't you keep going? And she just don't, she's a nice person, so she don't push nothing in. When I say I'm gonna do something, you know, or I say, all right, I'm gonna start rapping again, you know, she knows it's about to get better for everybody, you know, because with that, it's my happiness, you know, like, not that she doesn't make me happy, but my happiness comes because I literally do love doing this shit.
You like, enjoy,
like, I love watching interviews. I love reading. I used to love reading magazines, fucking XXL back in the day. All that, like, I love that shit. Like, I killed to do that. Watch people. You know, see who's doing what. Yeah, fucking Papoose was doing, like, alphabetical slaughters back in the day and shit. So I'm, fucking Crooked Eye, all these niggas that was just aliens. You know what I'm saying? Like, and to see that made me happy. To get away from that took me to the darkest spots of my life. So I knew I had to get back to it. I just didn't know how. So I always kept writing, but I just like, man, you know, I'm not gonna do this. You know, like, I just can't do it. I'm not in a way to do this right now. I got kids. I got to take care of this. I got to buy this. I got to do. But I started making excuses. I started, you know, putting things together little by little. And once I was able to stand up, you know, now I'm here, you know, and now I'm putting out projects. And soon come, you know, I'm going to have a legit body of work that's going to be reflective of the time that I'm in right now. So I'm more excited for that because you're getting a new rapper. You know, you're getting the same dude, but you're getting a new rapper that's acquired a lot of shit over time, you know, and learned a lot of shit, been through a couple things over time, you know, a lot of near-death experiences, a lot of different kind of things that have gone on. So that's really what it is. And then being able to balance it all is a whole nother ball game, you know, so like, you know, I told him, I said, man, take my daughter to dinner, man. Go have fun. Go, you know, I'm going to do this right now. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to have a conversation and, you know, let people know what I'm doing. You know, and she's like, no, I got you. Don't even trip. Like, let me know when it's cool to come back. You know, so I, all right, bet. You know, like, it's all good. You know, so she's very supportive. And I can't say that everybody I ever met is as supportive as her. There's a lot of people that are supportive, but I can't say that everybody I ever met is as supportive as her. So, you know, to be around that support, and, you know, I'll even run the references that I record right here. Like, she's like, yeah, that shit sound like some shit, boy. Like, I'm like, damn, why are you being so rough? She's like, because you ain't, you know, I'm like, it ain't mixed yet. She's like, oh, my bad. Like, I'm like, it's like, damn, let me get right. Damn, yeah. But she don't know how all that shit works like that, man. She can't talk to you about mixing and mastering, and, you know, she can only talk to you about what she, yo, that beat is on. I like that beat. That beat sound like hip hop. You know,
But that's just as important, right? To have an extra set of ears.
I asked myself, like, am I tripping? She's like, nah, that's that shit, bro. Like, go ahead. Like, it's like,
yeah. And it's really important for somebody to know you as well. There's somebody to know you probably as well as your wife, right? Like, and so somebody knows your quality of work, how you lay things down. And so I think that's important to have. And I think it's such a unique experience in and of itself to be married to a rapper. But even even more than a rapper, a musical artist, right? Somebody that makes music. It's a unique experience, and shout out to the missus. Somebody said, shout out to the missus for real, because it is such a unique experience, and so it's great to have. I think it's great to have that extra level of support from somebody close to you, like a significant other, in this process, and being understanding of the process, and how it works, and just being a cheerleader and being there for you, because I know, and I think we even have these conversations, and I talk to books about it a lot too, just having a community of people, like you mentioned, MTS and Tills, and like, Books is in the chat, and your other friends are in here, and like, it's just, it's really helpful to have a community of people that support you and fuck with you for real when you're doing something that's so intensive, heavy on the mental, and so you can't always trust people when you're in an industry and you don't really know people. And so me and Books talk about all the time, like, keeping niggas who you was with originally close to you when you rise up and you go through the trials and tribulations, and you can look over to the person next to you and say, am I tripping, right? Like, or is this a situation that, like, because when you're in it, sometimes it's hard to see, the forest for the trees. And so it's dope to have a wife in it that understands and can be supportive. It's dope to have friends that you had beforehand of coming into the industry, right? That can check you if something that you ain't being yourself, or that can keep shit in order. Somebody playing with you, like, it's dope to have a community for real in this shit. And like, it's amazing to see that, and like to see underground artists sort of like take control of their surroundings in modern times.
I agree with that 100%. I mean, the support system is what it needs to be. Like, if your support system hurts you, why you got it? Like, so I'm always gonna play close to the people that I fuck with. Like, you seen a lot of my people showed up. And I'm cool with that. It's all good. I thank y'all for showing up. Like, I did a lot of records with Mega. Mega knows my wife. Met my wife. A lot of people in the chat that know me and met my wife, so they can speak to the same thing. That's why a lot of them like, hey, what's up, G? Like, like they all know her, so they know how she give it up, and they also know that, like, man, if she wasn't with this dude would be fucked up, cause he like literally that's my ace, man. That's the one I'll knock everybody over for. Like, I even tell my daughters essentially, man, you piss her off, bro, I'm gonna beat your ass, cause like that's the one person you can't make mad for me. Like, like, I will fuck you up behind that. Right. She gives me a lot of great insight. Tells me how I should handle certain things. There's a lot of things that I get in my head about, even as an artist, or even sometimes just how niggas is moving. Like, I catch some shit and I smell it, this stink, it don't smell right. She's like, man, leave that shit alone. That's stupid shit. Like, we not right there no more. And like, just having people like that, or like you said, having people like that around you to tell you, like, nigga, knock that off, son. Like, what is wrong with you? It's like, it's literally a premium on that shit, man. Like, it's you can't find that, and so I try to do the same for the same people, the same guys that I'm around, the same guys I've grown up with, the same friends that I kick it with. If they ever need advice or anything like that. I know I talked to Nick. Nick's like my protege, man. Like, I feel like I built Nick in the lab myself, man. I feel like he's like him and I'm Dre, like I feel like, I got him started, and like he started flourishing, and nigga's voice is aggressive, and he got a crazy flow, like, so like he'll even come to me and tell me, like, man, am I tripping, bro? Like, is it, like, do you think I should be even trying to do this? Like, yo, I fucked up doing X, Y, Z. What you got for me, man? I know you was in this, so I try to keep it close to niggas that, that I was around and been around. Everybody ain't always around all the time, and everybody got their own thing, but I try to just try to play close to who I came in with, and who I understand, and who I know for the longest. And, you can learn from everybody, right? Like, it's okay to get advice from 27 niggas as long as one of the advices works, right? Like, that's how I feel. And I don't go and run to everybody with my problems all the time, but I could take my pick. I know where niggas was experts at, and I could be like, yo, still, Tills, man, I know you seen this shit. Yo, Mega, I know you seen this shit. Yo, Chris, I know you seen this shit. What does this shit look like, Nick? You know, over there, like, how do I do this? What's the best way? Should I just do this shit myself? What do you think is the idea? But for me now, I feel like I'm the OG. You know, like I feel like I've gotten that cachet about me where I'm not trying to fuck you over. I'm trying to tell you to get better, nigga. Like I got Weez is that nigga. Like he was that nigga for me. Like in rap specifically. Weez used to open the door while I was recording and then yell. That's where you get that grind season bitch tag from. And he used to open the door and yell and scare the living shit out of me as I was recording. And he said, "Hey man, stop, nigga, step your bars up, nigga." And I'm like, "I'm recording right now. It's not. I'm not." He's like, "Nah, nigga, but put something on it." You know what I'm saying? Like you got to do something with this shit, man. So. Like Weez, as much as he wasn't on the album per se, he was on that paparazzi freestyle. But that's my nigga. He used to like tell me like, bro, you gotta hit that shit a certain way. Like you gotta be more aggressive, or you being too cool. Like don't be too cool to go hard. You know what I'm saying? Like you can do all that shit. You know, so that's my nigga. My nigga Weez is like my longest time, probably closest friend that I had. I think once MTS moved up to Maryland and was back in New York and Maryland and stuff like that, he used to hang out with Weez too. But me and Weez was tight. Once he pieced out for a little bit, me and Weez was always kicking it. So as soon as I bring up, yo, I got this 16, I did this and this and this, I would be in the living room with the nigga like, yo, peep this shit out. I'm hyped. I'm like, yo, this the best shit I wrote in a minute. Like, man, nigga, step that shit up, man. What the fuck is you doing? You know what I'm saying? And I used to he a hater, man. Why he hate so much, man? But he won't. It was never hate. He would always just fry my ass after that shit, too. He'd be like, man, you feel it. But it's like, I needed it. I needed to hear it because it sculpted me in a way that nobody was talking to me like that. They was like, oh, damn, you dope, son. And, like, I appreciate that, but, like, what didn't you like? Nigga? Like, tell me what didn't you like about the project. Like, that's what I'm going to ask you even right now. You can tell me what you didn't like about the project. You know what I'm saying? If you didn't like something about it specifically, like I want to know that shit because that goes into a fucking a strand of memory here, and it makes me remember, you know, all right, well, this shit wasn't very popular with the people, you know what I'm saying? Maybe I need to go ahead and goddamn, you know, hook shit up a different way, you know, and that's really what Weez was for me. Weez was like, nigga, how you get on this monster of a beat and you rapping like you monotone, or you rapping like, you know, you too cool to be on the record, you know what I'm saying? Like, go ahead and hit the niggas in their mouth, you know what I'm saying? And, like, you know, just like that OG feel, like, don't be no bitch, man. Like, go ahead, man. Like,
yeah, I think should be a good balance of both, and I think Books just said is my spirit animal. Like, I think Books is like that. Yeah, I think Books is like that too. And I think there's a good balance of both, right? I think as long as it's like constructive, right? And I think the people who are close to you know what you're capable of, like I said earlier. And so if you're not attacking something like you should be, then like it's up to your partner to be like,
I feel like
I know you can do better than this.
I used to like we used to be in the crib and like niggas say something corny. And we was like, hey, Spacebar, nigga, because that's what we was doing. We was always in the studio. Spacebar stopped everything, right? Spacebar, nigga, Spacebar. So, like, Weez was like my Spacebar, bro. He would tell me, he was like, yo, like, stop doing that shit, bro. Like, do it like this. Or make it sound like this. Or, yo, you have another level there. Go to that one. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it's just to be able to, you know, every engineer should use their Spacebar accordingly, I feel like. You know what I'm saying? Stop these niggas from saying corny shit by hitting the space bar. That's all you gotta do. That's all you gotta do. That's really it.
Word. Book said Tills be having to check me though. Tills is so nice though, so I can see Tills being the balance.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the underground scene. I think you're a perfect person to talk about. Well, before we get to that point, Everybody go check out GS4. Incredible. He has more projects coming out in the very near future, and we'll talk about that at the end. But if you haven't heard Daggz, you want a place to start, go check out GS4. We were talking about some of the joints earlier. You're gonna love it. Go check it out. But I want to talk about like the underground scene a little bit with you, because I think you're a perfect person to talk about it with. And like a minute ago, you just said you were like, because I'm kind of like the OG, and I think even what we talked about earlier, just the varying of experience and how we don't hear sort of like the grind stories anymore like we used to, and like the processes and what it led up to. And because like y'all are such from an era where things just looked and like performed differently in the hip hop space, and especially like the underground space. But like, what does being like underground mean to you? Like, what is it to you?
I mean, it's a gift and a curse, right? Like you get to be the root, right, for some stuff, and then you kind of get overlooked for everything else, right? I know that's catchy, but yeah, you start, like underground for me, man. That's where it began. Like I'm the guy, and I mean maybe you are too. I know you curate playlists and stuff like that, but I'm the guy that likes like Mo used to do. He used to have all these mixtapes and all that stuff, and then once I learned how to do that shit behind him, I was finding stuff that niggas wasn't listening to too, and that's always cool. Like there's a lot of guys even right now to this day, like I'm still looking for and finding, and then once they go, I think my last like major act that made it, that was super underground, was right before Anderson .Paak hit. Like I was like, oh man, this is that nigga dope. He's not gonna last. I'm gonna lose him soon. And then we lost him, and I mean he's still dope, but like he's not.
Yeah, he's still incredible and dope. But I get what you mean. It's like you find your little artist, your little person. You want to gatekeep and hold that nigga. You be like, but this nigga is so ill. Like I know for a fact he's going to blow up.
It's dope. So like I used to get in that kind of bag, and I still do. Like even right now, like there's guys that I'm discovering, and especially outside of DC right now. I got a story I want to tell about DC. A rapper named Black Indian. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Black Indian. He passed away. I want to say yesterday or today. And I learned of this information from a rapper named Let the Dirt Say Amen. And man, I went on live with Dirt and was just watching him, listen to this guy's music, and I was like, damn, this guy is like, he's all over, like he's doing trap records, he's doing, it sounds like Dirty Church, it's like this is crazy, and I was like, man, he's talking about a dude that, kind of in the same vein as me, and like, this is amazing. And before we got on, I played one of Black Indian's records that he was featured on with an artist named Kenilworth Katrina, and she has this record called I Can Do Anything, and that shit just sounds like church, and it sounds beautiful, and they're going crazy, and it really makes you feel like that. So I want to, one time for Black Indian, and then just kind of like Let the Dirt Say Amen. He's from DC, moved out to Cali recently. He's dope too. I love that dude to death, because he's an inspiration. He's a little bit older than I am, so like I'm looking at older dudes who's like smoking shit, and I'm like, all right, nigga, you still got plenty of time. Like you ain't missing nothing. You just gotta stay on it. You know what I'm saying? So just wanted to slow it up for DC real quick, because DC has some stuff I love there right now. But it's a lot. Yeah, see, like,
I'm in DC right now.
That was my man. You familiar with the Whammy Awards? Like they do that shit out there. Yo, you gotta check that shit out. But Let the Dirt Say Amen. He's from DC. If you ever get a chance to peep him out, he's kind of inspired me a lot for where I'm going. So like he's really, really dope. But yeah, it's to have these guys, and like I can also say like guys like Elzai and stuff like that, like just other major acts that people probably know or heard of. I like those types of dudes, and they literally can smoke anything. It's not anything that they can't do, but when you hear them, oh, this shit is about to be some Like, you know, so like I love, look, there you go. What's up, Dirt? I was just talking about Dirt, man. That's what's up. Hey, man.
That's funny.
Yeah, I was just telling Suge here about Black Indian, man, and what I was able to hear today, man. So I just want to, again, send my condolences. But yeah, I was telling Dirt earlier, he was a big inspiration for what I'm getting ready to do. So, it's just dope to be able to kind of still feel like a gatekeeper in your own realm. Like I really love that. And being able to find guys and then research and then maybe I ain't heard of you till 2022 and you've been out since 2016. You know what I'm saying? Maybe even before that. And just watching their process and how they do different things. You know what I'm saying? And not to bite the style, but just to recognize the artistry. You know what I'm saying? That's really what I'm on. It's more of a big deal when you can understand someone's origin and then see what they doing and see how they doing the shit. It's really cool. So I like that. I'm into that shit as well. Like I really love being a gatekeeper of sound, and if somebody come by and say, "Hey man, what you listen to? That nigga goes, man," and I'm like, "You don't know nothing about this shit." Man. I'm that guy. You don't know nothing about this shit, but let me tell you. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's really it's really fun to be that way. I've always been that way, and I'll always continue to be a student. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no one rapper that you get it all from, and there's no one rapper that does it all so much better than the next. It's just you gotta take what matters and just love that shit. That's what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's more about love than not, right? Like we didn't come to hip hop and rap because we hated it. We didn't come to hip hop and rap because we wanted to just do it. It comes from love. So you gotta show love to get it, and then you gotta also be able to, take that and know what to do with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's really what it is for me. I love to find artists and just lock in with the motherfuckers and it be me and them.
And I feel like that's such a important part of the underground and how we Book said Books is in Barbados right now. He's losing connection. What's up, Wiz? But it's so funny that you mentioned that because I feel like the underground scene has always sort of prided ourselves in that, or people who are interested in if you're a rapper or if you're just a consumer, a curator of underground art. It's always been being tapped into the folks that aren't known yet and being like the secretive elements of it and also hoping that they make it right to a point because you're I appreciate this art and I think everyone should hear it. I think everyone should be a consumer of their art. And so I feel like that's been a consistently over, the history of rap and hip hop as a whole. You've always had the underground scene and you've always had the people who are more commercial. But I want to talk about if you've seen or observed shifts in culture surrounding the underground scene. For me, I think we talked about this earlier, but when you said you invested in equipment and learning how to use Pro Tools and things like that, one thing that I've seen in terms of shift in culture of the underground scene is a lot of underground artists are taking control of their careers and being more self-sufficient. And so that's a culture thing that I've seen in the underground. Not that underground artists haven't been, self-sufficient, and there have been mixtapes. The tape idea is literally from, burning your own CDs and making mixtapes, right? But it's I see it becoming more a prevalent thing with underground artists to sort of compete with the commercial scene and make it to the top, themselves without being an independent artist, right? Without
it's really just the technology. Resources. It's really all it is. Back in the day, you would go to a studio with a rack that's probably maybe $40,000, $50,000 if you get into some really really nice shit, right? And you can't take that shit home in your backpack and put it in your house. You know what I'm saying? So it's, being able to use socials and being able to, have that technology available to you or, maybe fucking do that shit illegal like cable or something. You know what I'm saying? However it is the fuck you do that shit, we don't really care how you do it. It's what you're giving us. You know what I'm saying? What are you doing for the culture? Are you moving? Are you just doing the same shit everybody else is doing? Is it lame? Is it tired? Do we know that you're trying to gimmick us? I think it's those things too. Like it's we just got so much shit that we can pull from now. You don't have to do shit the same way as anybody because there's so much more shit to pull from now. We all not going to the same studio no more from up the street. We all not doing, there's so many ways to do this shit. And I think, like you said, becoming more self-sufficient does give the artist an opportunity to control their career. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna get a lot of opportunities. You're gonna get a lot of people that might want to work with you, that might want to take advantage of you. And some of these motherfuckers will tell you off rip, and they're gonna take advantage of you. But I think it's a gift and a curse, like anything else. To be so easily accessible for me is wild. Like I don't, being able to do this to me, it's not wild to go on IG Live, but like it's.
I know exactly what you're saying. I listened to it like a few other folks like have a conversation about underground hip hop, and somebody said like the allure in hip hop is like sort of fading away too. Like your access to artists is so like me and you're on Instagram Live right now, but imagine if you had like 60,000 followers or whatever, like you had come up a little bit in sort of the success level, and like I could just hop on Instagram Live with you and like interview and have a conversation. Like, but back in the day, like you might have had to like go through some loopholes to like get in touch or get connected with underground artists. But now there's like a direct line to your fan base or consumers of the art as well. So we were just joking about like there used to be like an allure or mystery with hip hop artists and rap in general. The access used to not be so like at the tip of your finger as your hands out.
It easier. Took away it took away the exploration a little bit too, right? Because like at any given time we could type a name in and get whatever we're looking for. It's pretty easy. I mean, I feel like as a guy that I would look for samples. To help, my producers and I got this record that you can sample. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you ain't got no vinyl to play it off of, but like, I need you to do this, or maybe I can send you the MP3 or whatever. Like, I'm not dusty as a rapper like talking about. Like there was shit that I was doing as a kid that was to that extent. Picking up a crate and going through shit and finding records like from the 70s, like from fucking Major Harris and all these other niggas. Just that kind of stuff. And then like, we were talking the other day, I think I was playing a record the other day, you said go-go, like, like just going back and like, I'm not even from DC, but I like that shit. Like I'm not,
I'm not either.
My pops is in Baltimore. So like, I go in the area and, I know producers in the area, but like we don't have that luxury of exploring for things and then finding the gem and then trying to push it out. Because now, if we find something, somebody else is already in some other shit doing something else, and they ain't trying to hit because everything we curating ourselves now is better than what everybody else is doing. That's how I feel. Like I feel like I can make a list of 20 records right now and pass it to somebody here, and they be like, get this shit out of here. Take this off, put these two in here. This is different. This is better. Like I feel like it's a lot that pours into that. Just the inability to be able to have one realm where we can all go to and kind of look for the shit and find the shit we're looking for. Yeah, it's in technology. It's easier to get. It's easier to grab. I can just download it here. I can save it here. I can add it to this playlist. I can do this. It's not the same, and it isn't bad, but it's a gift and a curse. Like I said, I didn't find Dirt till last year. I didn't find him till last year, and I know that man been working his ass off. Like I didn't find him till last year, but I'm fucking glad I did. Like I wouldn't change it for the world. And even some of the guys that I work with, some of their stuff that they have going on, like I wasn't on Till's first project. I wasn't on his second project. I wasn't on, I was missing for a lot of the times that Till's was releasing work. You know what I'm saying? So like now I gotta go back and research and update that shit and live with that shit, and that's my dude. Let me peep him out and see what he's talking about. You know, what's my favorite fucking song? Well, you know, like what don't I like about his shit? You know, like so it's
yeah, it's the exploration. It's the, you know, like finding the artist, you know, and being it secret, and then they like kind of blow up. It's like that's a special aspect of underground. It's now I'm seeing like shifts in cultures where the artists are learning in terms of being self-sufficient. I also think the artists are learning in terms of business, right? Like we used to see, like back in the day, like people are versus like now. I think the younger artists are approaching business differently in terms of owning their own music, and you know, not getting in signing contracts and signing for deals, and having a lot of young folks I also see are having their own record labels, like they're starting their own record labels, and so even if they do decide to sign to a major label, when they come to the table, they're like, oh, I know I want a record deal, right? I don't want a 360, right? So like, you know, they have bits of ownership in their own work, and they're approaching the business, you know, differently. And I think that's an important piece. You know, if I had any message, you know, my mom's an accountant, so me and her have these conversations all the time because I'm interested in music and like on the executive side, and I do a little bit of work there in digital marketing. And if there's any advice that I would give like underground artists, be in control of those aspects, right? Like learn, research the business side of things, because you might not find it important right now, but it'll sneak up on your ass if somebody is like offering you like something that looks like a sweet deal, but it really isn't, right? And then you look up like 10-15 years later and you have nothing to show for, right? And so I feel like now these younger dudes who are in the game are like, some of them are getting smarter, right? And you know, when you look at their, you know, their albums and stuff, and you scroll down, it might say Zero Fatigue / Atlantic, right? Because they signed a record deal, right? And so just those important aspects, I think they're like, you know, the shifts in culture. Some of them are,
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I think he is in Atlanta. He might be in New York. He be everywhere.
I know what he's doing. I'm watching.
Yeah, I love Smino. Smino's a good example of that, because he had Zero Fatigue, and he was releasing and publishing his music through Zero Fatigue. Saba's another good example of that. Like all those cats, right? Those younger dudes, you know, starting out and doing business differently. They still signed, like Smino signed to Motown, but his paperwork looks a little different, right? And so I think if I had any advice to give just from the executive side or the business side of Smino is awesome. I love Smino. And Smino is one of those dudes, just like you said, you had like, you know, your little pick of the person like Anderson .Paak. Like Smino was that for me. Like, and we all, I lived in Chicago for a period of time. He's from St. Louis, but he was in the Chicago scene. And so when I was living there, all the niggas was living there. Like Smino, No Name is another person who I'm really tapped in. I love her work. She doesn't step out much, but when she did, her work was incredible. Saba is another one of them. And so Smino was kind of like in that, you know, like Midwest come up with the underground scene. And so to see Chance, right, to see how they've handled themselves, it's just really dope to see. And so I think a lot of underground artists who are coming up can like learn from that for real. And that's part of the shifting culture that I'm seeing. But I still have my wonders and my thoughts, like what is the job or the placement of underground artists? And I think it might differ from person to person, right? If I ask you, what are your goals in, you know, music, you might be like, well, I don't want to be like have commercial success, right? Or another person might be like, well, I kind of want to traffic like in the middle, right? Like I want to have my joints played on the radio, but when I walk into a Walmart, you know, there might be some people that recognize me, but everybody not gonna recognize me, right? And then you have some people who are like, I like the underground space, right? I like functioning in that, you know.
That's a good
just
question,
that space.
Man. I mean, if you were asking me, you know, back when I started, back when I was, you know, really kind of started ground right before I kind of fell out. I'll probably tell you, like, you know, I like the anonymity, right? Because, you know, it gives me an advantage that I wouldn't rather have if a lot of folks knew who I was and was always in my business and trying to figure out what I'm doing. But now I think, it kind of is kind of best to just reach and touch whoever you can get. At this point, I think everybody is an outlet, that you could possibly, light up right quick, and then, that just gonna spread it. I can't say that I'm in it for commercial success because I don't feel like my style is for that. I can't say that it wouldn't be, but I can't say that that's what I'm targeting necessarily. Just to go back to kind of the business situation, I just now got Grind Right to be my thing. I finally LLC and the paperwork is all done. So like I feel really good about what I'm doing and what I have and all of that stuff, and just beginning to build the brand again. And I think that's important. I think that's important for all artists. I mean, even owning your name, right? Like I had a deal that came to me when I was maybe 18, 19 years old, and they wanted to anything my name was on. I don't get paid for it. I get paid X amount of dollars for them using it, but if they sell, I don't get per sale. And I was just like, luckily I had some people in my corner that told me, boy, you sign this bullshit. If you want to, you gonna die not owning that name. And I was like, damn, that is money right there. Like how do I turn that down? And that was probably one of the hardest things that I'm glad that happened to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because you was like, man, you worked hard, you tried to put stuff together, you was working on shit, and somebody wanted to come and give you some money for it. And then just getting that information and learning that, man, you can't just write on whatever and then just go, bro. Like, because they gonna want what they want out of it. There's years attached to that. There's, clauses attached to that shit that you can't even begin to understand, read, or write. And it's that kind of stuff. So I'm glad I was able to like turn that down. It wasn't this monumental deal that would have gotten me recognition everywhere, but they were able to, do these mixtape deals and stuff like that. And, I wasn't really able to get into that for somebody looking out for me, but I really appreciate it because now that I came back to it before I started, and just even when I was watching you guys the last time you were on it, I was still building that stuff up and making sure that shit was going through and it was regulated and it was proper, what I'm saying? So the big thing with me is to also have that brand cracking, and just when you see my face, the logo is there, no matter whether it's there or not. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want them to know that is my shit, and that's where you can find me always, So it's really important to have that shit together, and if you're able to turn it into something big enough to propel yourself to that point of, all right, maybe I can go for a global reach or a commercial reach or whatever. Then that's cool. Right now, I'm a duck with 100 miles on my feet and like the water all still, but ain't shit moving. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, it's like that right now. But I know that if I continue to work and I keep working and it turns and it's gonna hit. You only lose when you don't go, right? Like you lose if you go. You can get your ass whooped, but like you only lose if you don't get up and do it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's my deal. That's really what Grind Right is built on. I've been screaming Grind Right since fucking for forever now, and it's finally mine. Like I got it tattooed on me and all kind of shit. Like it's my shit, and I know that that's my shit, and that shit make me happy to know that I got something. And not only that, I'm gonna pour all the shit I got into it. It's mine to fuck. It's mine to fuck up. And I don't intend on doing that. It's not my intent to do that. But guess what? The more I pour into it, the more I'm gonna get out of it. I think Mega said that the best earlier. Like that's really what it is. And I'm coming back. It wasn't just like, oh, just put it out. You're gonna just put it out and just do whatever. I can't do that anymore.
Yeah, and that's I'm so glad you said that, and that's so poignant because just a minute ago you were like, I'm going to pour everything into it. And if I had any other advice as a person who worked on the executive side and done digital marketing for years at this point, if I had any other advice to rising underground artists is to invest in marketing, invest in, putting your work out there, put yourself out there. You know, I feel like that's a sort of even like a missing part of like what used to be a part of hip hop culture, right? Like I feel like motherfuckers used to be outside a little bit more, and I feel like sometimes now there's a little bit of like being reserved a bit, a little bit, and I think some people, and part of it could be like folks who are from like a different era aren't used to the advancements in technology and haven't done the research and don't want to learn, but now is like the time to take advantage of like modern technology and like using social media and like utilizing marketing and advertisement and like, you know, even like budgeting for that and like really investing in that if you want, you know, to whatever your goals are in music, if it's to build an audience, right, to, you know, every couple months or so you want to develop more followers or, you know, people that are listening, monthly listeners or your streams, or, you know, if you want to sell merch, well, you need an audience that's going to buy your merch, so you need to be out there. And like if you want to get booked for shows, well, you got to establish yourself in different communities, you know, and get that started. Get booked for one show, do a good job, and they want to either book you again or you have the, you know, the experience to show for, so you can get booked somewhere else. So like in order to do all those things, you sort of have to put yourself out there and get really into the marketing side of things. And so it's really, you know, great to hear you say like grind right is mine, and like I'm investing in it, and like it's a part of the business aspect of it. And I think,
I mean, not even for new artists, any artist really. I mean, that's behind the scenes shit. You ain't gotta come out swinging like that. You know what I'm saying? But you need to know that that's a part of the game now. It's not. You can't come in here and just be releasing records and then whatever happen. Like it ain't gonna work like that no more. Like I used to do that all the time. And yeah, some things happened, but it wasn't the things that I needed to happen, and it definitely wasn't this. Like now, you know, I got the freedom to say, oh well, shit, I'm gonna put out an album every, you know, or every 6 months, or you know, I can do whatever I want. Ain't nobody telling me, oh no, son, you only got 3 in the contract. We ain't putting out them other 2 for you. You know what I'm saying? So now I have control of certain things that I might not have had control of had I signed the deal. It just makes sense. You know, and I think a lot of new artists, especially the younger ones, they coming in with that I need the money first mentality. I think that was a lot of things that we wasn't asking for before, because it was more of a, man, I'm just trying to get on. You know what I'm saying? Like that was I think every rapper said I'm just trying to get on. That came from the era that I started. You know, it was like, yo, I'm just trying to get on. I don't give a fuck what happens. I'm trying to get on. What does that mean? Exactly. Like, tell me what that means. Does that mean get a deal? Does that mean get this money? Does that mean get a show, get a showcase? And like, what does that mean exactly? You know, and I don't think anybody had an answer for what get on is, because they didn't know how it worked. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that kind of stuff taught me a lot. And then just sitting down and researching on my own, man, like it's a legacy. You know, the grind right is gonna be a legacy. Nick was with me when I started building that shit. And this some shit that my kids gonna have. This some shit that if they ain't gotta want it, but it's there for them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna stay alive forever because of grind right. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna stay alive forever because of grind, because all the music is gonna be there. All, you know, everything I've ever done is gonna be there. It's gonna be merch there. It's gonna be hold on. See, like, I already felt like I'm starting small, man, like small shit, but like I got, you know, vendors and all kind of shit, like, you know, go ahead and get you a grind right, you know what I'm saying? You know, but like,
I'm gonna give me one.
Hey,
that's
light
all
my
right. Candle.
It ain't gotta be for smoke. It's okay. I mean, if it is, it's cool too. But you know, just go ahead and do for you the shit that you want them to do for you. Try to do it yourself. It don't always fucking work. It don't always fucking work. It don't always fucking work the first time. I'll tell you that. Nothing works the first time if at least if you me. So I gotta go through hell to get shit done sometimes. Like, but you know, just talk to the right people, man, and don't be afraid to talk to nobody. You know, like there's guys that when I fell out of rap, I just stopped talking to producers, all kind of. I just stopped talking to them. And you know, there's some that I've reconnected with, like with Precision over here, bigging me up, man. But what he don't know is like he was the key to what I was doing back then. Like he did a couple records for me back then, and I know what he's capable of doing. and I know that he still plays around, and he's still, oh, I'm still making beats, so I'm gonna send you this, so I'm gonna do this, so I'm gonna do it. And when he does that shit, you know, if it's good and I'm ready to do that shit, I send it back to him like, yo, what you think? Like, man, this shit dope, man. Like, yeah. So I'm like, yo, so why you bullshit? Like, come on, man, let's do this shit, man. Come back outside with me, man. Like, let's go. You know, it's like going to your man crib back in the day. You knew he was fucked up because his report card came in and he couldn't come outside and ball with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's pretty much what it is, you know. And then, but that's how Tills got me. It's like, nigga, I'm out. Do you not see what I'm doing? This is all you got. You ain't got to do nothing crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, just come outside. You know what I'm saying? All you got to do is come outside and then do what you do. That's it. So it's, I like, no, you got.
What you said is, go ahead. I was just going to say, what you said is so important. And like, me and Books, I think Books is still in here. Him and I have these conversations like all the time. And like what you said about a legacy is so important. And we talk about this even on a business side of things, like what building a legacy or having a legacy means for you, even like monetarily, like in the future. Like if you have a legacy established, that means 9 times out of 10 you have a fan base that is like into that legacy and like pours into that. And so 15 years from now, you'd be like a Lupe Fiasco and you're able to travel around the world still on albums you made 15 years ago because you built a legacy of hard work, dedication to the craft. And there were times where he was in and out of it, right? But like he had built that legacy up so much with his freshman and his sophomore album that this nigga can really travel around the world, not just domestically, right, but internationally, and perform songs off Food and Liquor and The Pool and get booked and do like huge shows. Like he was just here in DC, sold out the Howard Theater twice, 2 nights. He goes to New York, sells out in Brooklyn.
You gotta hit it
2 nights.
You gotta hit it.
He's selling out shows on album 15 years later. And it's like, that's that legacy thing you're talking about. And he never signed a 360 deal, right? He was independent and he stayed on that grind and he was able to be in the middle ground between the underground and the commercial. So Books and I talk about that a lot, and it's so like important that you said that.
And
it's so true.
And not for nothing, man. If you are an artist and you in here, or you even a producer, or you in shit, you play the fucking saxophone and you in here, come and talk to me, yo, if you're trying to get that shit right, man, and you just don't know where to go. A lot of that shit is intimidating because you don't know what you're looking at, yo. Like, I'm not here to keep nobody down or stop nobody from doing their shit or trying. I ain't worried about the fucking outshining or nothing because my comparison isn't to you. My comparison is to myself. I'm eyeing you up because I got to see what you're doing, but I'm going to be the best me doing that shit, not you. So, yo, if you're struggling or you want to start a company or you thinking about some shit, I ain't telling you I'm about to foot the bill for that shit. That ain't what I'm doing. But I'm gonna tell you what people do or what I did. You know what I'm saying? And it's not as hard as a lot of people think, man. I think a lot of people just get intimidated about, man, what if I don't know what I'm doing with this shit? Or what if how does this affect me if I put this on paperwork? Like, how does this affect me when I go to do, you know, shit like taxes or something? I ain't trying to end up like fucking Wesley Snipes or, you know, like all kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just trying to stay out the shit. But like, I'm down to have them conversations with artists, and I'm down to have them conversations with people who ain't artists that's just trying to figure some shit out for you. Yo, not every hustler is an artist, and that's the thing that people forget. We all talk about how much we hustle and how much we do X, Y, and Z and all this shit, but not every hustler is a fucking. Some hustlers are just that. Put me anywhere, I'm gonna fucking get it. Like, but I don't know what to do with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, those are the type of cats that I want to talk to and have a conversation with too, man. Because that's where I'm at. A lot of what I did before having this interview with you was build my shit up, and it took time. You know, some of it took longer than others. And being decisive is also a process in that, because do I really want to do this shit? Do I really want it to be just this? Do I really not want it to be this? Do I want to change the name? Do I, you know, what do I want to do? You know, and I want to be there to have some of them conversations. If you're scared, if you're intimidated, if, like, man, this LLC shit freaking me the fuck out, man. Like, yo, like, nigga, I hope you fill that shit out, man. Like, I ain't paying for shit, though. Like, you know, like, you got it. But you know, it's that kind of stuff, man. It's not worth coming into a game and not having your shit together. It's just not worth it. So it's more of the idea that you kind of gotta, have your shit in line and use that to get you a little bit further. That's all. That's really all it is. It ain't gonna change life if you remember. We gotta create content too, right? If the content ain't hitting on, I mean, that's just kind of what it's gonna be, But if you got some shit and it's dope and you can flip it into something. Don't come with it halfway, man, because they gonna fuck you ass backwards before you know it. Like that's just how it goes. They've been doing this much longer than you've been trying to do that. That's just it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like that. So I'm really happy about the business side of things and trying to get that up and running. It's not overnight, but to own something and to get some shit in the mail that says your name with a company name on it, or to have some shit, and just, that shit is different. That shit do shit for you. It make you feel different. And then, like I said, my kids, that's gonna be their shit to deal with. That's gonna be their shit to have, use, do whatever the fuck they want to do with. And I ain't the nigga that knows that he's gonna be here forever. I don't think that. I don't ever. I wake up every day like, man, who the fuck gonna try to hit me today? Like, what's you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's just awkward conversation there, but it's more of a have your shit in a row, do it right. You know what I'm saying? Like, love the art. I love people who love art so much that they don't know what the fuck they doing. Like, I love that because they be dope. You know what I'm saying? But don't be that guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, just don't play. Don't play.
You gotta
yourself.
take care of business.
So, that's where I'm at with it. Right. Like I said, if anybody want to have a conversation, I'm here for that, man.
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely into that stuff, and whenever I have conversations with artists, my mom's an accountant, so her and I just have these conversations just between each other, just about business and how we see so many artists, like you mentioned Wesley Snipes earlier, but even like Wesley Snipes, Lauryn Hill, I think we saw Shakira not too long ago. Like, a lot of artists get into trouble business-wise with taxes and stuff like that, and just managing their money well, or not managing their money well. And like, that's because nobody's invested in learning how to do the business, right? And then, so my mom and I have conversations about that all the time, and we always come to the same conclusion, is like, you got to start from the beginning, from the bottom up. When you decide you want to do this, you got to be willing to invest in that side of it too. And we know it's tough, we know it's hard, and there's a lot to think about, but unfortunately, right, if you want to be fortunate in the future, then you have to invest in these things, and you have to be serious about it, because this is a business at the end of the day. It's a love, right, and a passion and an art for you, but it's also going to be a business for you if you're looking to make money. If you're not looking to make money, then whatever. But if you're looking to make some bread, then this is a business, right?
And I mean,
you have to treat it as
think nobody
such.
puts music out with the idea of somebody playing and shit and them not getting it. Like if you, I mean, I'm not gonna say people don't do it for the love. I do it for the love, but if I'm gonna put free music out, everybody's just gonna be able to have it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not, my shit say I don't write songs for free, Like, that's where I'm at. Like, I don't do that, If I know you and, you need a feature and we cool, like, I got you. Like, if I don't know you and don't know what the fuck you trying to do and you need a feature, but I'll look out, you know what I'm saying? But it's more of a, I'm not just, all right, well, Daggz got it. He gonna let me do this. No, Daggz gonna sit down and send you an invoice, and he gonna put that on the book, and you gonna pay the invoice, or you don't, and that's cool. Like, I'm not, and that's not me trying to be an ass about it or nothing like that, but like, I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit. Ain't know what they say, like, and my shit. Like, for me to sit here and record, it don't cost me nothing to do that, nigga, but that take time away from my kids. That take time away from my people. So, like, I want to get paid for that time because I want to get that back to them. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just the straight line of thinking that I have when it comes to that. So, again, I'm not saying we can't link up and just knock some shit out. I'm not saying we can't do that, but I'm not gonna tell you like, yo, I just got bars just to fucking give you. Here you go. Because who the fuck am I? Like, like, what did I do to myself right now?
Right, and I think what you just said is important. Like, you have a family, and you gotta know what the costs are that are associated with the running a business. And there, I know folks who do stuff for the low or for the free out of love, and I know you can manage both. You can do stuff for out of love, and then you can also do stuff like when you decide, like, I can't maintain years doing stuff for love. I got to, like, start making this into a business, and then finding other avenues for making revenue. And so, yeah, I just think it's so important and to have the conversation about business. And I love talking about it with artists that I know, because it's so important to invest in. And I think a lot of people are like, I got time, like I can, like, nah. And I know it, and I can't even imagine, like, managing, like, doing the art and then, like, also paying attention to the business, because I'm sure that's hard. And especially if you're a person who's, like, not tapped in well and not well versed on the business, you like, God, like, but you gotta persevere, and you gotta pay attention for the sake.
It's like anything. If you don't know what you're doing, and then you start to do this shit, and then shit start to work a certain way, and then shit start really working, it's like anything else. They say it's easy as riding a bike. It's not, but like, you fall off the shit, you gotta get back up and get on it to ride the motherfucker. So you might as well, keep trying to ride it.
And I'm that annoying friend, like you said earlier, you got a friend that tells you if you're not recording right, I think it was weeds. Like, I'm that annoying friend that, like, tells you about the business aspect. I'm that annoying friend that keeps reminding you about, like, we gotta get to the business. And that's not even from a monetary, like, perspective either. Like, we got to get to the business because we need to make money. We got to get to the business so that legacy can maintain over a period of time, and that the art that you're putting out is working for you, and you aren't chasing for years at a time, because this shit won't last forever, right? And when you decide that you don't want to hop on a stage anymore and fucking rap for an hour and a half, and you like, I'm tired, what do you have to show for? What do you have that's working for you? And so how did you invest that money? Like, did you, start companies or businesses? Did you do,
like, that's the most coming through the holla at niggas, yo, because you don't know who the fuck he is, man.
Word.
You gotta get it. You gotta get it one way or the other. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is, like that. But it's really important. Having that business aspect, or at least coming in the business aspect, or at least researching that business aspect is very beneficial. Even if it doesn't show, margin and profit and all that shit right away,
right away, but you have it set in stone that you know how this is supposed to. And for me too, it's about organization as much as it is about, like, the business, right? Because you're putting a structure, right? Like, what is a business? Well, it's a structure, right? And so I think adding that structure too, like, while the front end of it may seem, like, difficult and challenging and, like, worrisome, like, you're going to feel so much better about the processes when you know that, okay, this is how much revenue I earned, and this is what's being taken out in taxes, and, like, somebody is handling that. Like, there's a structure to this. Like, I'm keeping track of my revenue. I'm keeping track of, my progress, even as an artist, like, analytic wise, like, my progression in terms of, just how I'm doing in the market, in the industry. It's just structure. And I think, at a certain point, you step out of just doing it for the love of being an artist, and you step into taking control. And I think that's what these young dudes are doing. They're taking control of both the artistry and doing it for love, but also the business side.
I did so much for the free when I was a kid that literally I told Tills I'm not coming back until this shit is making sense. And not that I'm not trying to make money hand over fist doing this shit. I want, if I do make an impact, I don't want to miss. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I don't have, or because I didn't do something that I should have did. You know what I'm saying? So that's a conversation I was having with Tills. Is like, it's really important the way you invest your money, the way you invest anything. But the money and the energy. You know, am I gonna put time into listening to these niggas and getting angry, or am I gonna fucking go ahead and do it? Or, you know, am I gonna put time into fucking building this shit up the right way and then put the music out? Yeah, I'm gonna do that, because guess what? It's gonna save me the ass kicking that I'm gonna get later for nigga, you gone viral and you don't own shit. Like what did you do? Nigga, you got off the stairs and went viral on accident to some hip hop shit, nigga. And now you like it just is what it is, man. And so, you know, I say that to say this. It's like everybody should be trying to do that, man. And you know, it's not easy. It's never gonna be easy, man. There's nights where I stress the fuck out, and I'm just like, why the fuck did I do this? You know, why did I put myself in this bubble? Like, I only wanted to rap again, you know? But then I remember it's like, you look down real quick and your knees you got people by your knees and you like, yo, gotta fucking, you need to eat, dog. What we gonna do? So it's like, it's that kind of stuff. So, you know, if I could do something I love and turn it into something bigger than even what I'm doing just to get by, you know, I owe that to myself, right? Like, you know, and I think everybody else does too, you know. So like, just the business part is very important to me. It's more important to me, and that's, I don't know if like you noticed that, but like, you know, there was a logo. Like, how the fuck you get that logo up so quick? How the fuck you put all this shit together like this? So that shit has been like that for years. It's been like that for years, and that was really important to me as a kid to see how it looked. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, that shit looks cool as fuck. Like, that's all that it mattered then. But then now you having that conversation and you hearing these guys talking about being fucked out of deals, getting shit deals, being in shit deals currently. Yeah. Or you hear about guys that are just like, you know, I'm just doing it for the doing it. And some of these dudes are
people to know that I was dope or whatever.
Extremely fucking talented. And it's like, and I don't get nobody business, so I don't ask niggas like, yo, who do your paperwork? You know what I'm saying? Like, cause that's not like, I wouldn't want no nigga asking me that. But like, I mean, I would if we're having a conversation about that and we gonna talk. But like, you know, just off the street, like, yo, who did that? How do you do this and what did you do and all? You know, I'm not giving that to everybody, but like I said, we in a more intimate setting. It's people looking for me, it's people looking for you, and like I said, I'm open to having that conversation if you was here tonight. You know, anybody, it don't matter who it is. I'm sure everybody knows something or a little something more than they did before being able to sit down with us, and they probably knew something before that. But you know, the intimidating factor shouldn't be a reason that you don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're capable of doing it, it shouldn't be a reason that you don't.
Right. Look, I feel like we've hit a lot of points tonight. I feel like we talked about a lot. We talked about your journey into music. We've talked about friends and community and rap. We've talked about being underground. We've talked about GS4. Everybody go listen to it if you haven't already. That's a new release from Daggz. If you came in like periodically and you're like, I'm wondering what the hell this is, like, who is this person? My name is Alex Raquel, but I have a podcast called Suga Friendz. Right now I'm doing it on Instagram Live. Eventually it'll be pre-recorded. But essentially I just like to have conversations with particularly or specifically underground artists. And I just want to have meaningful, dope conversations and interview them and get to know, you know, underground artists from everywhere. I feel like there are a lot of platforms out right now that are in the hip hop space. Most of them are male dominated, but outside from that, I feel like the conversations can be a bit arbitrary. And so I want to have meaningful conversations, and, you know, just like we just spit a whole lot of game about business right now and marketing, and we talked about experience, and I feel like there's a lot for people to learn, and I want to be sort of bridge that gap in the hip hop space. So if you're new and joined in periodically, that's what this whole thing is. And I met Daggz like a couple months ago, and I was like, I gotta have you on the podcast because he just has so much good information, and he's been doing this for over 20 years. I need to have, you know, him on the podcast and a lot of people that he's named before that I've interviewed, like MTS was on here earlier. I've interviewed him before. Books is in here. I've interviewed Books. I haven't gotten to Tills yet, but he's next on my list. Shout out to Alex. You got a follow out of me with his work. Great questions, great flow. Huge fan of your style. Excited. Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that precision. I appreciate everyone who like joined in and like, you know, sat down and chopped it up with us and watched it all the way through. I really appreciate the support. I know Daggz appreciates it a lot too. Hi, sweet girl.
Who are you? Who are you?
She's like, what's going on? Hi. Oh, she's so cute, Daggz. She looks like you for real. She's so cute. So yeah, if you're just tuning in, that's what this is. I have two last questions. So the first question that I'm going to ask is, I like to spread the knowledge of who's out here and who, you know, who's in the underground scene. So I want to know from an underground artist that's on the rise, a rising artist, who are you
like
listening
I said
to right now?
earlier, man, right now, it's let the dirt say, man, he's what I'm learning about that dude is he's been in groups, he's been different names, and slaughters every fucking thing that he does. So Let the Dirt Say Amen is probably my biggest one right now. Of course, my contemporaries, MTS, Tills, a lot of guys I was in here I've recorded with. So all those dudes, my brothers. I'm trying to think of who else is underground right now that I'm really into. I get excited for cats like RJ Payne. I don't feel like he's underground and stuff like that. I get excited for stuff like that. But it's a bunch, man. If I started down a list, really, it could get really long. But I'm always keeping my ear close to the newer stuff and the kind of like stuff that's out to the left. Like I listen to a lot of the soul groups that are coming out right now, not from the 70s and 80s and stuff like that. So like the Sacred Souls. I know me and With Precision, I sent that over to him, and he was bugging out about that. So the Sacred Souls, I really like their group, a soul group out of San Diego in California, and they're pretty dope. The thing that sound like Young Marvin. I ain't trying to go as far and say he is Marvin. He just give me that vibe. I ain't gonna say he is, so don't kill me for that. But yeah, I like that kind of stuff. So I like old soul. I like things that sound like soul.
I love soul.
Really into just hip hop in general, man. A lot of the producers I'm working with are really dope right now for my new stuff that I'm working with. I definitely want to shout them out. With Precision is one of them. He's my old homie, and he's going to be on the next project. I got a buddy named LXS up in Sacktown. No, he's not in Sacramento. He's in Stockton. Yeah, so he's up there in Stockton. He's done a couple records. Richie Taylor is another guy that I'm working with. You'll start to see these names roll around once things start working and things start coming out. Just want to shout out to everybody that came through, man. It was real talking with y'all, and I really felt the love. I appreciate any follows, any love I get on the backside of this. Alex, this was a great interview. I'm glad that I was able to do this, and I definitely look forward to doing it again at the end of the year, maybe this time next year when I hope this works come out. So just remember, I hope this works is coming. I ain't bullshitting. I'm sitting there really, 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 really working on this shit right now. That's all it is.
Love that title. My last question, since you just mentioned that, what's to come for Daggz? What can we expect in the future? Who are you working with? What you putting out?
I'm gonna start putting out records here soon. I'm waiting on some things to work. I don't really mix yet. So a lot of stuff is sitting as reference right now, and a lot of stuff that I'm playing ain't quite done. But more new records. You're gonna get visuals. You're gonna get merch. You're gonna get all this stuff. I'm gonna go the long way, and hopefully I can key in on what everybody's digging and roll from there. My oldest daughter's gonna help me design the gear when she comes here in the summertime, and then I got a lot. I got a lot working. So I hope this works is really what I'm working towards. But a lot of the people I'm working with right now, I'm really just working with this dude named Tills, man. He be acting like he can produce and shit, man. I love Tills, man. That's my dude. He's done a lot in the production world and is really an underrated producer, man. He's severely underrated, man, and he's very, very talented brother.
I'm sure I'll get one in with Nick one way or another. Nick acting like he the cute girl that don't want to talk to nobody. So that's my nigga. I know he peaced out. I know they'll end up telling him about it. But I'll probably get another one with Nick. MTS is gonna be there. You know, I know Vegas said and Book said, so I'll probably be rolling with a lot of the Cobras. But yeah, they're my dudes. I known MTS for a long time. I just now got up on Books. Vega I know for a little bit. But yeah, that's really it, man. Just them and the producers, man. Like I said, Richie Teller, LXS. Look out for these dudes. These dudes are young kids who've been playing instruments since they was babies, and they really, really dope. And they know how to boom bap, and they know how to do, perfect mixes, and they know how to do dirty mixes. One sounds like Madlib, the other one sounds like Timmy. Like it's gonna get crazy for. I hope this works. Is gonna be my best project to date. I know GS4, y'all might like that. It might feel good, but just be ready for GS4 to get smacked. Really.
We love to see it, though. That's what it's about, the progression.
There's going to be growth, a lot more grown man bars. These conversations that we are having are more in these lines that I'm writing right now. So it's going to sound exactly like what you guys got today.
Dope. So like I said, for anybody who tuned in or just tuned in, this is Suga and Friends Podcast. I'm Alex Raquel, or Suga, and I just had interviewed Daggz, and we had a great conversation. This will be up on my page, this live, so you can go back and view it.
I was here.
Yeah, so you can go back. Anybody who's just joining or has been watching, you can go. We said a lot of good stuff, so you can go back and watch this. A part of this platform specifically is that between tonight and tomorrow, I write album reviews. So anybody that I interview, in the caption spot will be a review of the release. So between tonight and tomorrow, I'll write that review. It'll be up. This post will be up for you to watch, but I'll edit the post with the review between tonight and tomorrow. So definitely excited to write a little review for GS4. I'm so happy that everyone joined and we had a good time. This was just so much fun, and I knew this interview would be really, really fun. So thank you, Daggz.
Grand right, y'all. You already know.
Everybody, again, go stream GS4.
Grand right, y'all be easy, man. Love y'all.
Yes, thanks everybody who tuned in. Like I said, this is gonna be up on my page, so go tune in and go watch it.
All right, peace.
Thanks, Daggz. Peace.